Welcome to 9 to noon. Welcome to July, and welcome to the most barren month of sports talk that you could possibly have. However, it gets spiced up this year because the Olympics save us from the depths and dearth of July sports. And also NBA free agency provides us with some talkers. I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's right here. And John Kuhn is with you on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. Morning, boys. Happy Monday. Good start to a holiday week. My favorite holiday of the year.
Oh, it's
4th
your
of July.
favorite holiday?
Yes.
Number one?
Yes. Number one favorite holiday.
Okay.
Power rankings for holidays. Billy Schmidt has July 4th, number one.
Hard to beat. Hard to beat.
I don't know. Listen, July 4th is awesome. I don't know. It can't be number one. Christmas is always number one, right?
That's where I'm at.
Why?
That's
It's
where I'm
got
at.
because it has to be. It's magical. It's
A lot more work.
It is a lot more work.
A lot
You
more
got me
work.
there.
I
A
get it.
lot of conversation, a lot of cooking, a lot of presents that you got to buy. The only present you got to buy for July 4th is
Fireworks.
a beautiful 30 rack right next to you,
It's me.
and keep
Yeah.
that thing next to you all day long.
Oh, you gotta go to like Big Bob's or whatever the firework place of the day is. Whatever.
Armin, I ain't messing around with that. I ain't messing around with that.
I'm
I'm
not
letting that
either.
to everybody else as they knock power out across the state of Wisconsin the next couple of weeks, lighting off fireworks, I assume.
I've seen too many viral videos of that.
I've watched Backup Terry way too many times to go to the fireworks store on my way up north.
I've only messed with sparklers. I'll mess with sparklers. You want to give me a sparkler? We'll run around the yard for 5 seconds. That's enough
Sure.
for me. But,
Sparklers, you can get burnt, Armin. You can get burnt
Yeah,
with a
you can.
sparkler.
Yeah,
well,
you can.
just enough danger to make me feel like a real G. Like, you know what I mean?
Just enough to get your
but
blood
not
pumping.
really. So 4th of July, there is some cooking involved, but it's all fun cooking, grilling,
Oh, that's generally fun
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
Yeah,
fun
no
cooking.
doubt about
I
it.
get
No doubt
you.
about it. I love being outside the part of it. I love chanting USA at random portions of the day and getting generally whatever group you're around fired up, and a day off in the summer to either watch people run around and make fools of themselves, or to get somewhat inebriated and then get into like a dodgeball game
Yes.
with varying ages. That's what the 4th of July can always bring you, which I think is maybe, John, it's the only holiday where all
Don't get me wrong. I just at number one, you can't give it. Listen, Christmas just has a magical tone
that
to
it does.
I'm
That
with
it
you on
does.
that.
Yes.
Christmas will always be the GOAT because heck, it's Christmas. It's got a jolly fellow with a big old beard, right? That's involved with it. It doesn't
How about
need to
Santa?
be freezing cold. It doesn't need to be, right? I had Christmas in other states where it was not freezing cold. So it's not just about the weather. It's just, I don't know. It's just different. I can't put 4th of July above Christmas. Cannot do it. Although it is an awesome holiday.
It's a hard one to compete with. It really is. And the fact that it comes through in a year where we get to be unabashedly patriotic, maybe that's also why I'm excited for the 4th of July this year, is because, Armin, it leads me into the Olympics, which you've been trying to gas us all up for. Walk in here
Yeah.
today a minute before the microphones come on, and thank God John obliged with you as a great friend. Tremendous coworker and a great friend.
To indulge me,
Indulge you and actually ask you,
the
John,
best part of my day so far.
truthfully and caringly, hey,
Well,
what happened during those Olympic trials yesterday?
I did want to know. I did want to know.
Glad
Here's
you
the
did.
deal. Here's the deal, Billy. Have some girls and ask around, right?
Right,
That's the way,
yes.
that's the way I
I'm
feel
gonna
about it.
assume.
Have some girls and ask around because this happens when Armin starts talking about gymnastic qualifiers for the U.S. team. I genuinely want to know. Hey,
Yeah.
how did it turn out? And what kind of format did they run yesterday?
Yeah,
Because
how does that work?
you kind of need to know. I mean, we go for basketball. Teams just get picked.
Yeah,
sure.
Or sports.
Best players go.
They just get picked. You actually have to win. Track and field, you have to win. You have to qualify. Gymnastics, you have to win. You have to qualify. Swimming, you have to win. You have to qualify. So I needed to know, was there any big upset yesterday? Did anything happen in the women's gymnastics, Armin?
Hesley,
Pretty much standard form.
Well,
Better be.
Hesley Rivera getting the last spot over Jocelyn Robertson was probably the only question
that
mark.
was the
That was a
There's-
stunner.
There's
Yeah.
5 spots and there's 3 alternates. And
So can Jocelyn still be on the team?
she's still an alternate, so she'll travel. And if there's an issue, obviously an injury or something else,
Sure.
she'll be in there. So she'll be known as an Olympian forever, I would say. And Yeah, Simone won. So the way that works is in the gymnastics trials, they have a regular meet, and if you win the meet, you get an automatic qualifier. But the rest, even though they're scored, it doesn't necessarily go in order. It did last night, but you are still chosen by a committee. So,
when's the last time somebody did not score top 3 and was chosen for the Olympics?
That's a good question. There have been years when it hasn't gone, especially the Carolla years. They would pick their favorites, and that would be it. I mean, it wouldn't go straight through to the what the gymnastics meet scoring was, because people will get medical exemptions. Like Simone won last night, but if she was injured, she would have definitely got a medical exemption. I mean, there are times that
because I got a notification last night that Simone Biles was
and you're like,
on the team.
Thanks for the breaking news.
How on earth is this news?
Michael Jordan selected for Hall of Fame, basically.
Yeah, awesome. Great.
Yeah. But she won the automatic qualifier last night because she won the meet. So I guess that technically is official.
Well, there will be a day where she's not the best gymnast in America.
And most people didn't think
the United States
it would be this cycle. Yeah.
And there will be and that will be big news when that inevitably happens.
Oh,
but
I'll be
it's
stunned.
Just not yet. It's kind of like Michael Phelps. Remember his last Olympics? We were like,
yeah,
all right, well, is he going to place? Is he going to do anything? Is he going to show up? And then he won another 2 or 3 golds that time, along with the bronze. And we were like, oh, he is human again. This is the way this thing works. Same thing's going to happen with Simone Biles at some point in time.
You were considered once upon a time, if you were in your 20s, you were getting so old in gymnastics. I mean, and she's 27. It's almost unheard of to have a 27-year-old. She might be the oldest gymnast.
I was going to say, I think I saw she's one of the oldest or the oldest since like 1950 or something.
She's the oldest since it became a modern sport. I mean, there was, I think in the 50s, there was an older one, but it wasn't really a modern sport yet, gymnastics in the United States, anywhere in the world. So it's amazing. I think a lot of people assume last cycle might be her last. She was 23, which is already to some people considered old. She's 27. She's still the best, and she's going to be there. Now, I would assume again, this is her last Olympics. I would think so. I would assume they're going to vote her captain.
Don't put limits on her.
But I'm not going to put limits on the GOAT.
31?
Why not? Why not? I mean, I'm not going to put limits on the GOAT. And the trend is gymnasts are getting older. The youngest one was Hesley Rivera. She's 16. That used to be kind of the standard age.
So primes are changing, kind of like they maybe are in other sports too.
Yeah.
Where I think in baseball, prime age is kind of getting younger. You're seeing more and more young players have a bigger effect on teams and a bigger effect on playoff games. Whereas like you were 25, 26 playing in the big leagues.
Right.
Saying, okay, now your big league career is starting. You're 26 coming in and making your major league debut like Andrew Monasterio last year. People are saying, wow, this guy really had to grind through to be able to get to his spot finally.
And we know what Tom Brady did, right? To change the mind of people in terms of age and quarterbacking.
Fair, yeah.
In the NBA, right? Once upon a time, you weren't playing in your mid-30s. Dominating in your late 30s like LeBron would be impossible. Larry Bird retired when he was 33 or something like that.
Well, and thanks for leading right into that, signing a brand new $200 million max extension in free agency at age 34, like Paul George did, well overnight here. It's wild to think that, and modern science has done a whole lot of things in professional sports, but it has definitely, John, extended so many of these different careers. Well, the LA Clippers also extend careers because this era of load management for the Los Angeles Clippers starts to break up as Paul George heads east to the 76ers overnight.
How are you going to remember the Paul George era in LA? Like how will you remember it? He played a lot of games last year. I had to be reminded of that because I didn't really watch him play.
Yeah, I don't think a whole lot of people did. Nope.
And it was the most games he played in maybe his career last season. So how will you remember the Paul George era? This is the NBA in a nutshell. Every year, a couple big time faces change from team to team, and we start talking about where do the power rankings stack up in the West now? Is the West gettable? Blah, blah, blah. No, what it really is a couple guys got tired of playing in their cities, so they're going to go play in a different city and most likely not win a championship there. And, you got yourself the Celtics, you got yourself the Denver Nuggets, the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, I don't know. You look at the West now and you start thinking, who is the best team in the West? You could shuffle them all up and spit them out, and I couldn't tell you who the best team in the West is right now.
Yeah, and I know the one thing is he comes into the East. I know Philadelphia is not the best team in the East, right? Like that's the easiest answer to have.
Sure.
But for Paul George, it felt like so long in his career, everybody just talked about when is he going to move to Los Angeles? When is he going to move back to Los Angeles from the California area? When's he going to go play for the Lakers?
Right.
Now he's playing for the Clippers. And late in his career decides, yeah, I'm going to move. I'm going to get out of here. Like, so rarely does that end up happening, but it works when in a contract year, Armin, after seasons in which you play 48 games, 54 games, 31 games, and 56 games. He plays 74 games, has a bunch of career highs, cashes in for $200 million. And for Philadelphia, they also re-up their Tyrese Maxey situation. He waits a year, gets a much bigger contract after his all-star campaign. They're going to now have 3 guys making $200+ million each.
They're bringing the super team back.
Daryl Morey is hell bent to find 3 superstars and no one else.
I'm going to make this work. The process is continuing. The process is, you're right, though. I mean, it is funny to think about the days where everybody assumed when's he going to get out of Indiana and go back to LA, right? Because he was from LA. Well, actually, he's from Palmdale. A big difference if you ask anyone from the LA area. He was from Palmdale, but he was from LA and everyone thought he'd be a Laker, ended up being a Clipper. But hey, you're right, Billy. 41%, which is like
almost not really as good.
No, it's definitely not. 41% from 3 this year also. It was his best. So he did have a lot of good numbers, career numbers. Will he repeat? I mean, how's this going to turn out for Philly? I know it got some Bucks fans nervous already on Twitter. I had guys betting me that the Bucks would be out of the playoffs or 7th seed next year, or that the window's closing.
Oh, wow.
I just don't think a 33 or 30. Oh, is he 34 now? How old is
34 years old?
34-year-old Paul George is the window closer. I just don't feel that way. However, he's still a talented player. If he repeats what he did last year, he's going to definitely help the Sixers, and they'll be a contender. It's just like, yeah, maybe they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals finally. Like that's kind of where we're at with the Sixers, right? It's hard to expect them to succeed because they've continued to fail in the playoffs. But Paul George got what he wanted, right? He had a big year, and he got the last big deal probably of his career. So
big deal of his career. It's a good point. And when a couple of the teams popped up, he declined his
option,
$48 million option.
That's insanity.
Yeah, when
you're becoming insane numbers in the NBA to be turned down.
What about how good are you living if you know you can turn down 48
million? You can turn down 48 guaranteed $1 million. Yeah, that's just something that's never going to be not crazy to me. But then it was, well, it could be going to San Antonio, Orlando, or Philadelphia. Okay, so he's going to go to Philadelphia. Sorry, I don't see the Spurs saying, you know what we should do?
Chris Paul went there, though.
With maybe the next great player in the NBA, give him a 35-year-old Paul George to play with at $200 million. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. However, the other news throughout, and this one's just breaking in the NBA, because we talked about the Knicks and their big trade of Mikal Bridges, bringing that deal in. They now lose their center, Isaiah Hartenstein, for 3 years, $87 million to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Wow.
$29 million a year
for Isaiah Hartenstein. And the funny thing is, I don't know if that's a bad deal now anymore. Because I don't know.
I'm sorry, that's a bad deal.
Well, I know, but guys are getting money now. It's hard to figure out, like, it's hard to reconcile what my previous thoughts were about the market and about players and about money based on what we're saying. How much did OG get? How much I understand he's a good player.
Like $200 million.
Armin, that is an absurd number, and it's getting to listen, the NFL too, especially with wide receivers, second, third, fourth tier wide receivers, 10, 15 million a year. This is 29 million here for Hartenstein, Armin. That is an absurd number.
He's never averaged 10 points in his career. Now, that's not saying that's all that matters. I understand, but he's an 8-8 player. Can you imagine an 8-8 player making that type of money 20, 30 years ago?
Just think about this. A.J. Brown was an all-pro this year and just got himself re-upped.
Yeah.
For 3 years, $84 million guaranteed. Isaiah Hartenstein's like the 7th or 8th option on his team. Now he's going to start, but man, that's just wow.
No, you're
God
right.
is good. Congratulations,
is
man. Congratulations.
It is wild what these guys are making, what he's making. I guess if you got the money and you want to pay for a guy.
I am going to, though, Armin, because you bring up a good point. There is going to be a moment, and I think we're starting to get there. 2 years, $52 million for your boy Tobias Harris goes to the Detroit Pistons. Congratulations. No one cares about the Detroit Pistons.
Bickerstaff, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Congratulations. That we have now for a while, especially the NBA in particular, just said, well, the cap's going up. You know, I don't know what exactly is a good deal or bad deal. We can look at things and say that's too much money. Just because John, the cap is going up, that I've heard, and I've continued to beat that drum of, well, you're going to lose this guy, you're going to lose that asset. there is a moment where you are paying some guys too much money.
Well, for me, I understand, and I'm completely for players getting paid because I see what these leagues make, and the players definitely deserve, their portion of that. But goodness gracious, when you have the NBA, Josh Hartenstein, $84 million, that is a different contract. That is a contract. Do you remember, Armin?
Yes.
Do you, and I know you do. Billy
I'll
might
try.
not remember the last year Michael Jordan played basketball for the Bulls.
That's no. I was going to say the only one I remember is him playing with the Wizards.
When he signed a 1 year, $25 million contract, people went absolutely nuts at the greatest player in the world making $25 million. Now,
he wasn't a free agent until those last couple of years.
Be a six man of the year.
Yeah.
And you get $25 million a year. And it is unbelievable.
And
it's
I get it in the relation to the rest of the league.
That's one
crazy
lifetime.
Number. Right.
That's one generation it took to get from the GOAT, the greatest.
Right.
Michael Jordan had a 10-part docuseries really made about him on ESPN during COVID.
He made himself.
It was basically about that guy, $25 million. Any regular Joe now. $25 million.
Yeah, Aaron in Milwaukee, Hartenstein's contract solely due to Randall getting injured and him stepping up. Good job, young man, for taking advantage of your opportunity. No doubt. No, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not ripping on him for signing.
Congratulations, man. Big work.
Just how did we get here?
That's all we're saying. Yeah, I would sign it too.
No, we are not faulting Isaiah Hartenstein for this deal. That is not the case. Congratulations.
It's amazing to think of the days of those lists of bad free agent deals. They used to come out with a list of worst free agent deals ever. And my man Jim McElvain was always up there because he had like a 4-year, $30 million deal with Seattle when he wasn't a big time producer. I don't want to hear about that anymore.
Minimum.
It's just not. I don't want to hear about that anymore. It's just not. I mean, it's funny. We talk. Okay, bring up the Tobias deal. That's an afterthought for us today, right?
Yeah, no
He's
doubt.
Still getting $27 million every year for the next 2 years. So
that doesn't suck. That doesn't suck.
It's the perfect day to bring up contracts. As Bobby Bonilla yet again will make his little change over $1 million for the 13th out of 25 straight years. It is the perfect day to bring up other people's money. And you know what? Josh Hartenstein, good for you.
Good for you, man.
Dude,
you fleeced him.
He got his money, no doubt about it. I mean, he's going to, who knows? He might come out and have a monster year next year and make us all eat our words.
Yeah, and you thought Hartenstein's contract or Bobby Bonilla's contract was the biggest one. Bobby Bonilla is like number 7 right now on the guys that are getting the biggest payday in deferral day in Major League Baseball. I'll run you through some of those names. And the Milwaukee Brewers entering the chat when it comes up to deferral day. They are starting to become big-time deferrals, and they just hit one with one of your maybe favorite players growing up. We'll get into that coming up. We'll also get into the crew. The Grand Slam crew, 5 in 8 games. They do it again yesterday. Craig Counsell's Cubs can't get out of American Family Field fast enough. Maybe too fast from the terrace level potentially on Saturday. 414-799-1973. NicolayLaw.com. Talking text line wide open for you as it's a holiday week. It's the start of July. It's the start of spending season. It's the start of 9 to noon with you on the game. Welcome back. A pocket watching Monday on 9 to noon. John Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's here as just insanely massive contracts coming out in the NBA. Guys, during the break, I just did some digging on your boy Tobias Harris, former Milwaukee Buck, by the way. People will forget.
Don't forget.
Good trivia question.
I know. Go ahead.
Who was Tobias Harris traded for off of the Milwaukee Bucks? He was a 17th overall pick. Basically a 1-for-1 swap at the trade deadline for this.
I'm so mad. I'm gonna let John give a chance to guess.
I'm not going to get it.
You might. Very much in the news individual of a former NBA player.
No, I got nothing.
JJ.
We traded him for JJ.
Oh my gosh.
Worst year.
DICK.
We got JJ.
That's when
Redick.
it happened.
Yeah.
That's when it went down.
Yep.
Yes, because
Oh,
we had to
good
make that 8 seed, right?
That was it. And
we
then
had-
they didn't get the 8 seed.
Oh, I know. No, because JJ Redick didn't help, shooting 31% from 3. Didn't want to be
Horrendous,
here.
dude.
Remember when he told his wife
Horrendous.
he cried when he got traded here?
Yeah, and we cried when he was sitting there, just waiting to leave.
Like,
Waiting to
all
leave.
right, we
just
got
waiting to
Redick.
leave. We'd
I'm
really
like,
like to leave.
all
We'd
right,
really
like-
like to go somewhere now.
Jennings, Monte Ellis, Redick. How's this going to work?
Best thing is, John, he gets traded at the deadline. He's 20 years old. He was the youngest player in the draft when they took him. I believe it was 17 overall from Tennessee. And he gets traded to Orlando. And then in the next 27 games, I mean, all he did was average 17 a night. He went from playing like 10 minutes a game, if that, and averaging about 3 or 4 points to, oh, you can play him and he can average 15 to 17 points. That would have helped. But I just was looking up Tobias Harris, potential business of sports Hall of Famer, is one Andrew Brandt tagged him. This is going to push him to $300 million in career earnings.
$300 million for Tobias Harris. Now, I don't know how you feel about what he's done in this league. I think it's been good, but I don't think he's been a guy you think of as a $300 million guy. Am I
Armin,
wrong?
say what you're really thinking.
Well,
Say what you're really feeling.
he never made an all-star team.
I feel like you're
he's
beating
never
around
been
the bush
close
right
to
now.
any sort of. I think he was 20th in most improved voting one year.
Maybe. Yes.
I
maybe.
think he was 20th or something like that, and that's it. Now he's a consistent performer. He's not that old. He's 31 or 32.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He'll get it again, too.
You know, this guy, I mean, yeah, it's now he's averaged double digits. Let's see, his point average, I mean, he scores points, 20 points, 20,
Mhm.
18, 19, 19. Out of
Okay,
team, he's never been the
so-
first option, so you can fill it up in that sense, but it's hard to believe, isn't it? A little bit. I mean,
So Tobias was on the Bucks not once, but twice. Tobias got most improved votes not once, twice, but 3 times. And how can you be most improved multiple times? Like
well,
to
he's-
become the greatest? Listen, in 2012, he got 27th in most improved. In 2014, he
I
got
didn't know
20th.
I didn't know
He got
guys were getting-
20th
Mhm.
in most improved.
I didn't know guys
And
were
then in
getting votes that low.
2016, Armin,
Yeah,
he
no
got
kidding.
20th again in most improved.
Yeah. I don't know.
Those are his career accolades.
Well, but his best numbers are in his bank account. And
So,
that's what it'll
well,
tell
and
you.
that's the thing. Career earnings going to get to $300 million by the end of this 2-year, $52 million deal he just signed with the Detroit Pistons. I like this. More trivia. How many NFL players have reached $300 million in career earnings?
I'm going to say 2.
Armin?
As of now, I mean,
As of right now,
certain
how many
guys-
players have reached
Like
$300
earned
million?
it or will earn it by the time their
We're-
current contract is up.
earned it now.
This is currently
Current.
earned
So I'm not counting my
through the 2023
I'll say
season.
zero. I'll say zero.
Currently earned,
I'll say 0.
I think 2 guys, but it might not be either as current. They might not have gotten it yet.
There have been 4
4. Okay.
$300 million.
Hold on,
Tom,
no. Tom
Brady,
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, he did make it. Okay.
Is Kirk Cousins yet?
Kirk Cousins is not yet there. Kirk
He will
Cousins,
be.
he will be. He is right now currently at $231 million in career.
Yeah, and he
earnings.
got 78, so he will be.
Yep.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning
I don't
is
know.
not on this list at $248 million.
Yeah, a lot of years in the early 2000s. So,
So there's 2 more.
And one of them is just gonna be jaw dropping to you.
I mean, they're going to be fairly.
One is
recent.
still currently playing.
Well, not Lamar. Lamar wouldn't have made that money.
Nope.
Not Lamar.
Nope. You're thinking too young.
Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes.
Nope.
Vets.
To earn the money, they had to have earned it already, Armin. That's what tough.
Sure,
part.
I got.
That's
yeah.
why I said Peyton Manning.
And you got to get a massive bag to start your career. Ben Roethlisberger is 6th on this list at $267 million.
That's a good guess, man. I'm trying to think of
we
vets.
are pocket watching everybody.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Your bank accounts are not safe on night.
You better watch out.
Coming after everybody.
You better watch out.
Wait till you see Mike Heller's poll. Yeah, it's gonna be this station. Okay.
2 Matts are the two that
Matt
you're
Ryan,
missing.
Matt Ryan.
$303 million in career earnings for Matt Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
My gosh, that's unbelievable.
And one current player at $328 million in career earnings.
Matt Stafford? Really?
Matthew Stafford.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
See, because you almost forget Stafford, I believe, was the last year.
He was the last of the big rookie contract.
Of the massive rookie
I think
contract.
$60 million is what he got for his first contract. 5 years.
6 years, $72 million. Yep. So $12 million a year right away. And then 3 years, 53. And then just one of those. Thank you. 5 years, 135. And is currently on a 4-year, $152 million.
I don't know if it'd be fun to be that rich. I mean, you walk in and you can get anything you want or whatever. You buy a boat or something. It's like
you're telling
funny
me
money.
Flavors don't have flavor anymore.
It's funny money. Oh, okay.
Your Blue Moon just tastes like vanilla every single day. Is that what you're telling me, Armin?
I mean, you can't even enjoy Superman ice cream anymore.
I mean, you're playing Monopoly and you hit free parking and you get $500 of funny money. Yeah, it's cool, but then what? Then what? You make 100. You
sell 150 grand in shirts, and then what, Armin?
Then what? Okay, I'm kind of kidding. It kind of would be kind of fun to have that. Okay.
Well, it's just difficult because, we didn't know if you were somewhat kind of kidding with the I don't want to play in the NFL deal, but, that could be one.
Well, there was a different component to that. I think I'd get beat up. But yes,
that's fair. Yes.
The money would be good. Okay. There is something to the fact that, these guys are going to just see all these numbers. And I don't know, what do you make of these numbers? I mean, you see all these exorbitant amounts of numbers. You have all this money. It's got to be a very, I don't know, sterilizing feeling. I can't imagine what it's like to be in that regard.
I would love to try it sometime.
I just hope some of these guys, with the amount of money they're going to make and eventually invest, and it's only going to continue the next 10 years. I mean, we're going to see enough $500 million players in the NBA by the time their career.
You're going to get your first $300 million one in Jason Tatum, and there's going to be more that come along the pike. That's for sure.
Have fun, do what you want, set up your family for generations, but try and do some good with the money with other people out there. That'd be nice. Just try and do some good. I know a lot of guys do. A lot of guys already do that.
That's for sure.
A lot of guys already do that. So
we're going to talk about something that Pat Mahomes is doing with his money coming up in about 15 minutes because somebody doing it because he's bringing them a lot of money. But we also mentioned in the pocket watching segment.
Who built a school? Build a school, something like that. I love
you know who did do that?
I'd love to see an NBA player put kids in college.
Yeah, put kids through school. I don't know. LeBron James, son of a gun.
You mean LeBaby or LeWiner, or the guy I always hear about? That guy?
Those unaware of Bobby Bonilla Day, the deferral story, the Mets agreed to buy out Bonilla after the 1999 season with $5.9 million remaining on his contract. They offered him the $5.9 million all in one payment, or $1.19 million across 25 years, starting from 2011 to 2035, a total of $29.8 million. He took that deal. Today is once again another payment for Bobby Bonilla. Final pocket watching trivia question here. Out of Major League Baseball players, Bobby Bonilla ranks currently 9th on the highest paid deferrals here on July 1st.
So congrats to Bobby for making
the top 10,
the day out of it.
Now he's in the top 10.
No, I mean
still in the top 10.
He gets all the notoriety for it, but he's not in the top 10. And if you didn't know today was Bobby Bonilla Day, congratulations. You haven't been anywhere near the internet yet because everybody in the world is tweeting it now. There's no account
It is
left.
Everyone's favorite thing to mention.
There's no account left that doesn't tweet, hey, did you know it's Bobby Bonilla Day? What does that mean? It was cool. You remember 5-10 years ago when nobody knew about it? And everyone's like, did you know today that he gets $1 million check?
This is year 14? I think people have known for 14 years.
But not everyone talked about it. Not everyone talking about it. It's just
now it seems like people have the draft in their Twitter account that waits starting up on, I don't know, maybe July 3rd. Former Brewer Ryan Braun, just above Bobby Bonilla.
How
with
about
a
that?
$1.8 million deal coming and a little direct deposit going to Ryan Braun here today.
But he still works. We know that.
He is still working.
He's still
Financial
putting
advisor.
puts that suit on and goes to the office, makes the coffee, gets the coffee ready for it.
I would assume, yeah, he's doing all the intern like
Is
duties.
he making the coffee, Erman? Is that where he's at in that firm?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, right. I mean, you start right at the
level?
bottom.
I mean,
start right at the bottom.
You know, he's at the coffee machine. You know, he's
He's
in
getting
there.
the letterhead prepared.
Yeah.
He's doing all of it.
I'm just saying, like, you know, regular office guy now. You think? I don't know. I had a debate once with Zabe. I'm like, why are these guys working? You know, they made all this money. He's like, Armin, people want to do stuff in life. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, there's only so much golf he can play.
It's good. I guess you're right.
I mean, unless maybe that's where his job is mostly
Well,
tied
Armin
into.
already he just told us he would be bored with that much money. He would be bored with it.
John, I don't know
I'd love to
how I
try.
spend it all.
I'd love to try.
I would like to just spend Chris Davis's $14.8 million he's getting today on a deferral payment.
What would you start with if you had to spend it?
14?
14
$14
On a
million
deferral?
on a deferral payment. One of John.
That's winning.
One
That's
of
winning.
8 deferral payments for one.
What?
Chris Davis.
Ugh.
$167 million deal played 3 years. That's how you get a deal like that. 414-799-1973. And not the Chris Davis that Brewers fans are thinking
Not that
of.
one. Not that one.
Not Chris with a K. Chris with a C who played in Baltimore and cashed in on a one massive season. All right.
Yeah.
It is also, as teams are paying out here today, it's a changing of the guards in college sports. We'll get into that in the stuff behind the scenes you might not think of before Paul Wagner joins us in 20 minutes. It's 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game.
Thailand, would you wildin'?
Get on mic and do that. What are we doing? Come on now.
I'm going to keep it professional here. This isn't Armin open mic hour for our bumps, you know.
I would love that. John, I think that should happen before he goes on paternity leave.
Armin, it's Bobby Bonilla Day. What happens on Bobby Bonilla Day stays on Bobby Bonilla.
What if this
You
is
don't have
the
to worry
final?
about it.
What if this is our final show that we get
Could
to
be.
do with you before
Ever.
you go and have a ever? Could be ever. You don't know. Nothing's promised. We're all day to day.
What if it ends tonight and we don't make it back here tomorrow?
Why'd you say that?
Yo, low, Armin, come on.
Treat every show like it's your last.
Yes.
Dance like nobody's watching and love like nobody. What is it? What is it? Love like nobody.
We tried to do this with the Jim Valvano speech.
Yeah,
last
what
week and we
speech is
didn't
this?
do well.
Jimmy V is the speech that we want.
Yeah,
Laugh,
that's the one we want.
cry, fault.
This seems
That's
like
what we
something
have.
Armin's getting off of like chive.com.
Yeah, this is the one
they bought a
They sell an
nice
Etsy
banner.
where,
Yeah.
where mom puts on the counter and mom
Mhm.
puts above
Yeah.
the kitchen, you know.
Live, laugh, love.
One of those deals. It's the one that you can get downtown in like Door
Is it
County.
the kitchen
you know?
or is it the bathroom? I always feel like the more thought-provoking lines are in bathrooms.
In the bathroom. The nicer one will be out in like the kitchen or like the welcome mat, I think.
the more appropriate one.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, but the ones that say like gather, family, all that's in the kitchen.
That'll be in the
Right.
kitchen.
I don't know. There's a lot
I
of that
maybe
out
saw
there.
I maybe saw the best one where generally it's just the one column, John, on the front door that says, welcome or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I drove by one person's yesterday that just said go away.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
That's awesome. I need
I
that
love
one.
it.
like
I love it.
that's the
Genuine,
best way. Yes.
Authentic, truthful.
Yeah,
Go
truthful.
away. We don't need any more.
Well,
Cut right to the point. We have
oh.
friends. Sorry.
Sounds like he's a great neighbor. Talk about being neighborly. No,
But you know what? Maybe that was being neighborly. Saves everybody from the awkward conversation
Yeah.
when you walk up and try to say hi. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to say hi to you. So quit asking.
Yeah, of course. In the '90s, it was all about the wood carving of the so and so family and all the names there that would be going on. I saw so many of those.
What are you talking about?
What?
I
No,
don't
like
know if I've heard this.
Are you talking about like the little like people in the back window of your
Well, no, that's
minivan?
different.
Is that what you're talking
the
about?
Now
stick
that
family.
that along with the number of miles that you have run, walked, or biked.
I saw it
Yes.
on a house. I saw it.
You saw it on a house.
in Greendale. I tweeted about
Somebody has
Yes.
a mile
it. No,
number
their time,
on their house.
Yes.
How many
yes.
miles did they do?
Well,
4 million?
No, it was the time.
Why would you put it on a house?
It was their time. It was their time of their marathon. It's at 26.2, and they wrote his time. It's on the chimney of the house. It was in Greendale. I'm taking my
So
they
walks.
painted it on the chimney
You
of their
got-
house.
What am I going to tell you guys? You guys
I gotta see your tweets,
Start
sorry.
having alerts on my tweets so you
This
don't
is
miss
got-
anything.
Wait,
Here,
when did you tweet this, Armin? That I have not been following.
yesterday or was it on Saturday? And I also linked the account
Start having alerts in my tweets.
at dudes posting
All right.
W's.
Done.
Here,
Notified.
here.
Turned on.
What's
turned
the
on
number?
notifications.
What is the number, Armin? How
trying to-
fast did they run this marathon?
26.2, 238.19. I'm trying
That's a monster marathon. That is fast.
Wow.
to put my
that
own
is
banner
fast.
up. I'm putting my own banner up on my house, everybody, to let you know my
Dudes
personal.
posting
232.
wins.
That is fast.
Look, I got nothing on this. Dude posting wins and retweet me.
Okay, but yeah, I also thought it was like painted. That's in stone.
That's what I'm saying, man. This is crazy when I saw this. Crazy. And I'm like, am I
is this
gonna-
the
my
fastest
question-
man alive?
Not
Well, no.
just no. It's
No.
I think 153 is the fastest.
No,
one.
For
no one's-
26 miles?
No one's done sub 2 yet
No.
on a marathon. It's like 201 something like that.
Jeez
Okay.
Louise.
I thought it was just under 2.
Well, let me just check
Okay,
this out.
yeah, yeah. Fact
Yeah.
check him on that,
Yeah.
Armin.
You check it, Armin.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
check that.
Nonetheless, you have that in a. Once you move, what does the next person say? Well, I didn't do that.
Right. I mean, you
That's
had
not
to-
my
I gotta
time.
take this
Tarp-
down.
Well, what
Put a
is your
tarp
time?
over it, like the
What's-
seats you can't sell out at a stadium.
That's it.
Sorry, I can't buy your house because that time is far too fast. And
I
I
mean,
cannot lie about my time.
What
I
if
can't
you,
do it.
like John, you said one day your goal is to shoot a
79.
79.
Oh, that'd
Hey,
be
let's
awesome.
say
Yes.
so when you do it, are you gonna put that up 79 this core like a banner like on your house? I mean, I'm not talking
listen,
about a banner. This was in stone, like it was, you know.
You're gonna change number of the just different tiles on your roof of the shingles to just outline the number 79 of your lowest golf score.
You know, here's the deal. I got this is gonna sound bad, but I have Super Bowl rings
Sure, I get
Come
it.
on now.
that I
Two of them
already don't
things.
that I
Two of them
already don't
things.
wear. That I already don't wear. Pretty sure a 79 is not going on the chimney.
What did you put? Why don't you put
Let's
like
put that
Pro-
on the cottage.
Pro Bowl X3 on the
Could you imagine? No, we just put John's full Pro Football Reference page, just like the corner with the accolades, right on the cottage where you can see it from the lake. That would be
Tobias
fantastic.
Harris, 27th and most improved player voting.
Yep. 27 MIP. All right, by the way,
this is fantastic.
Kelvin Kiptum is the fastest eligible course marathon last year in Chicago, 23, 2 hours and 35 seconds. So we're still waiting for the first man to break a 2-hour mile. Marathon. So I'm
excited for the contractor that's going to come and put up John's Pro Football Reference accolades right there on the side of the house. Three-time Pro Bowler, one-time All-Pro, two-time Super Bowl champion. Big time for the Super Bowl champ.
To know this guy who ran 2:32 in a marathon, which is a phenomenal time. That time is so much faster than I could ever think to run.
I don't know that I'd bike it.
No, I couldn't. It is so fast. It's ridiculous. I can't even think of it, Armin.
Yeah, I can't focus.
I just want to know
what
happens if he does better.
Yes, put up a new one. Put up a new one. Call Brewer Contracting. I'm assuming they'll do this. They do anything.
Are you trying for a new personal best, or is it just like, you know what? I just want to shoot somewhere close. All of a sudden, you're tracking. I think I'm going to stop and grab a quick drink of water. You're 0.3 of a mile away. What are you stopping for?
It's just
I don't want to change the facade.
Right. I don't know. It's be a lot of work. I have to get the ladder out.
I'd also love to know if he did this himself, or if he had somebody go and do it.
I have a feeling
if you're running a sub 240 minute 2 hour and 40 minute marathon, I think there's a good chance that you're good enough to go and put some stone up on decorative on the side of your chimney.
Why not?
Hey, you just think he's a Renaissance man.
This guy might just be the most badass dude that we have in America.
He can run. He can do work. He can do chimneys.
He's got an American flag painted on his chimney right next to the house that's there. This guy's a winner.
Well, and I know the runners are proud. So full props and congrats. I know it must have meant a lot to them. The runners believe if you can, you get your, it's a very emotional thing for the marathon runners, for the Ironman guys. I get that.
Do they, well, Ironman's a whole different ballgame.
Sure.
Ironman's a different.
Yeah, that's a different beast.
When you see one of those people who have the I dot little tattoo on their calf, that's a whole different type of respect. That is, have you ever talked to people who have done these things? The amount of pain that their body goes through. I've asked one before.
My mom's cousin did.
What is it like preparing for a marathon? Well, you'll take, Monday and you'll go ride a bike for 4 hours. 4 hours. You're riding. Yeah. And then Tuesday, you'll run for 3 hours. What's Wednesday? Wednesday, you swim for an hour and a half.
In open water.
What? In the open water. Yeah.
This is their every day. And I've asked a couple people who have done these Ironmans, what are you thinking? Don't stop. That's as simple. I mean, their thought process is as simple. It's just
coaching.
Keep moving. It's their thought process.
It's amazing it's the mental challenge, I'm sure, more than anything.
My cousin did the one.
Marathon is a beast, but Ironman is
a
whole different can of worms.
My cousin did the triathlon in Madison a couple years ago. I couldn't believe how far out they were swimming.
That's the thing.
So legitimately the center of the lake.
I'm getting lost.
I don't know that I'm going to take a boat out there.
Right.
I don't know. I'm taking a boat out there and I'm getting back. 414-799-1973. I want to take the boat out with Paul Wagner. I think we need to find a day to get out on the water. Now, you could find a day to be having some wings with Paul Wagner. We got more information on that when Wags joins us. Don't know that that's exactly a chicken wing sound, but more importantly, you're dumping that dumping that thing in the deep fryer, hanging out for some wings with Wags. We'll give you that information and talk some crew with our former Brewer next in hour 2. Coon, Billy, and Armin statewide on the game. That was better. Pat Murphy said yesterday, we got a secret plan to hit homers with the bases loaded. We bought it. It was a recipe online, and now we have it. And that recipe does not include Paul Wagner being on the mound. He joins us now here on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. Wags, I can only assume when you heard Murph say that yesterday, there were some flashbacks because there would be some people that tried to make that joke. Man, I know you've seen some home runs go. I know you've seen a ton of things in baseball. Have you ever seen a team hit 5 grand slams in 8 days? This is outrageous what we're witnessing with this baseball team.
Hey, timeout. First off, if the recipe was to put Paul Wagner and people bought it on the mound, I never got paid. I got zeros at the end of my check. So where are those zeros? Where are the zeros?
The zeros are coming with this, Wags. Check out the next Wings with Wags coming up, and you can find more information, dotcoms.com/Wags, to be hanging out with Paul Wagner before a game and learning all that. See, there we go. We got you some zeros.
There you go. Hey, it's crazy. You know what? And that's what, you know what? You live for that. Most offensive players look for that situation. Less than 2 outs, guys in scoring position. What can I do to help my team to win? And they put a little additional pressure on themselves to hit the grand slam. That's the pitch. That's the home run that you hit in your backyard. When you're growing up as a kid, that's what you do. You hit the grand slam. And for these guys to continue to do it, take advantage of bad pitches and throw them off the bridge like that, that's just crazy. It's crazy.
See, Wags, last week we were down there for Nooner Day, and we got to see not just a grand slam, we got to see an inside the park home run, and we got to see a walk-off all in the same game. You know, baseball, you guys play so many games, you're accustomed to seeing these things, but for the regular fan, we don't see it all that often. It's very rare that we're in attendance for a game like this. You start thinking back to some things, some rarities. What's stuff that you would celebrate as baseball players as a rarity?
You know, and not to say that it hasn't been done. Matter of fact, it just got done yesterday by Wyatt Langford. I think when an offensive player hits for the cycle, it's kind of crazy. Your inside the park home runs are just exactly how it happened with the Brewers. A diving play, the ball bounces over, rolls all the way to the wall. There's always situations like that. Grand slam of watching offensive players, obviously when I'm not pitching or they're my own teammates when they hit the cycle, because I think that's something pretty crazy. It
really is. And to see Wyatt Langford, like you mentioned, from Texas do it yesterday, one of the youngest players to do it, it definitely shows just, I mean, how good your team has to be able to get you around that many times with opportunities, but to capitalize on it, it's something else. The capitalizing on the opportunities the Brewers have had, Wags, it's not like they're just every single time with runners in scoring position taken over. They've actually still somewhat struggled in that variety. I was doing the postgame show with Timmy. They're 3 for 11 on Saturday, but just the amount of big flies they've gotten, I think they're top 2 in baseball in 3 or now 4-run home runs. Like, it sounds simple, and people hate to say sit around and wait for the 3-run homer. They're not waiting for it, but they're getting the 3-run homer more than I can remember in many, many years.
Well, like we talked about before when we were talking about pitching, traffic on the base paths. You have to do whatever you can to get on, whether it's a hit by pitch, whether you take ball 4, whether you put the ball in play, whether you get on by an error. Things can happen. It's a crazy game. If you sit back and wait for the solo home run and you put up a single number, you're not going to win many games. But when you put up crooked numbers and things happen, that's when you win ball games. And that's what the Milwaukee Brewers are doing. They're getting on base in weird ways, whether it's the walk. You know, you look at the bottom of the order you got, and I know Armin's going to roll his eyes, but guys got hitting 192, 220, 210, but their on base percentage. How you're getting on is so important. When you cause traffic, that puts pressure on that pitcher. On the reverse side, now the Milwaukee Brewers are taking advantage of that pressure, and that's when they put the traffic on, and then they take the long fly.
Wags, what's weird is, and I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but I'm starting to feel like it's just destiny with this Brewers team. It's just going to happen. They're going to get a win. They're going to get a big hit. They're going to get a strikeout when necessary. It's just starting to feel, it's almost as if this year is just happening because it should happen. What scares you with this team? To me, that's scary that I feel that comfortable with this baseball team in this season when in years past, on paper, it looked like it was better, and I never felt this good.
Yeah. You know what? I'm with you, John. I don't. It's a weird feeling, a weird vibe. You know how the stars aligned this off season. Obviously, a lot of drama. We all talk about it every day. But you know what? Him going down to the south side, us doing it, Murph coming in. You know what? There's just so many things that I guess the only really thing that you can always say is injuries. If you can stay healthy and you can play hard-nosed baseball for 9 innings, for 27 outs, you're going to play baseball. I really believe that as well. I don't think this Milwaukee Brewer team is ever out of the game until that 27th out because they've surprised me so much for the first half.
Paul Wagner hanging out with us, Lake Country Dockhounds pitching coach. You can go and check out the Lake Country Dockhounds. Well, you can go and check them out any day at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park when they're playing at dockhounds.com to find their schedule. But you can do a Wings with Wags night, a special VIP appearance with Paul Wagner. Tickets are limited. Get them now. dockhounds.com/Wags to have some Wings with Wags, share a bunch of stories, and have a bunch of good times before a Dockhounds game. And Wags got a chance to come and see the squad. Being able to see the pitch clock at your guys' level impact the rushing of maybe just the process when things get tight, couple of men on. You're talking about traffic. How much do you think that has impacted pitchers, and especially your guys that you talk to and work with on a day in and day out basis? Feels like maybe you'll see more activity and more big flies with the bases loaded because guys are rushed a little bit and couldn't take that couple of seconds off and walk around the mound to calm themselves in those situations anymore.
I'll go with that. I'll go with that revelation. But when I look back in the stands in the 9th inning, one individual who brought his family there was gone. So
was gone.
The fair weather fan who didn't stay for the whole game. I'm not going to mention any names, Billy, but
gone instantly.
You were gone. Dollar beers, and you jump ship at about the 6th inning.
Well, once they close the dollar beer stand,
yeah, I mean, you can't mention dollar beers and then talk about when it closes.
Yeah, I can't really. Yeah. It's a tough one for me.
What, Armin? What, Armin?
I see both sides of it. I see Wag's side of it. You really should stay to the end here.
I should have. I should have.
But on one hand, I mean,
well, where were you, Armin?
Well, I didn't go, right? So
where were you?
Sitting on his couch.
You could have been there.
If you start something, you should finish it.
We were hanging out near the bullpen.
You didn't even start.
I know. Well,
never.
Okay, then fine.
Mm-hmm. Tough thing was, Wags, the little man kept throwing the baseball that one of your guys was nice enough to throw at him back into the bullpen.
Oh.
And we were worried that they were going to be more concerned with, playing catch with the little guy than focusing in on the game and get that comeback victory.
But to get back to your original question, I'll go with that. It causes traffic. You speed up. You're thinking about your next pitch. The selection of pitches obviously goes from pitch to pitch. You can script out a scenario. You can script out how you want to go, whether you want to go hard and then soft, or you want to go breaking ball and then straight, or you want to elevate. But every pitch determines the next pitch, and it changes. And these kids don't have the time to adjust because all of a sudden there's 4 seconds or 5 seconds left on the clock, and they throw the pitch that maybe they're not comfortable with. But the point I was trying to make is a lot of people have also brought up that time clock is causing injuries. And I don't agree with that. I really don't agree with it. I'm going to go with John Smoltz on this one. I don't believe that this pitch clock has any correlation. I'm sure somebody can find some numbers, but I'm going to say not as drastic as you would think for the injuries, but I would say more for the traffic, pitch selection, and sometimes bad pitches.
Well, in Wags, maybe I'm wrong, but John, we've talked about this a lot with the injuries of arms. Wags, it wasn't like you guys were taking 35, 40 seconds in between pitches. I mean, it felt like so many people that had studied baseball and talked about it were like, we're going back to the mid 90s where we're going to get the ball and you're going to fire. Yeah. To me, it's almost more of the maximum effort on every single pitch and trying to find as many guys that can buzz 96, 97.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too, because if you look back in our day, we had complete games. Back in the late 90s, Greg Maddux threw 75 complete games in 12 starts. It was like, we were making steak dinners for a 6:30 game, Hell, we were at the bar in the restaurant before 9 o'clock. I mean, so games were moving at a fast pace without the clock. Certain pitchers, obviously, some were rain delays, as we know. There was one guy named Steve Traxel who, if you ever look up him, he was really slow. But yeah, I would say the heavy velocity, the heavy workloads, the body isn't capable of throwing 100 miles an hour. So that's where I think the injuries are coming from. So many guys are doing all these programs, whether it be a tread, a drive line, anything you want to say. Yeah, it's getting their velocities up, but the body can't withstand that. And that's why you're seeing organizations call up players like Paul Skeens right now, because they don't want them to waste any of those strikes, any of those 100-mile-an-hour fastballs in the minor league.
Wags, I'm glad you brought up Paul Skeens, because are we witnessing, something rare here in him? To have the 9 games that he has started to hit over 100 in the 7th inning, to be doing this all as a rookie. I mean, this is one of the better rookie seasons that a pitcher has ever had, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, just in a dominating fact. Unfortunately, the Pirates they got 3 great studs that can do that, but Paul Skeens is, if he would have been up at I'd really like to see what kind of numbers he would have put blasting onto the scene at the beginning of the year and early on, where guys didn't know who or exactly what his ball did. We didn't have advanced scouting as much. I think he has 9 starts, 90 strikeouts.
Correct. Yep.
Something like that. I wonder what kind of strikeout numbers he would put up through a full season, and that's something neat. But we're witnessing something that we haven't seen, obviously. Aroldis Chapman comes in, and he's throwing 100 miles an hour back then from the left side, and we thought, oh, my gosh, he hit 100. Garrett Cole hits 100. Tyler Glasnow hits 100. Now we watch Paul Skeens, and if he doesn't hit 100, you go, uh-oh, what's wrong? He only hit 98.
Yeah, 70 strikeouts in 52 innings.
He's hitting it 12, 15 times in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. So you just wonder what kind of wear and tear, what it's doing to the body. How is that arm? And again, I hate to say it. I've been through it. I've had Tommy John. I've had rotator. I've had labrum. You never wish that, but you just wonder how much can the body withstand that, because we've never seen it before.
Well, in Wags, you mentioned that you've seen all these guys and you've seen the injuries come through. It then comes to the conversation that I imagine the Pirates are going to have. So Skeens is slated right now. If you'd go through their rotation, he would pitch in Milwaukee on Wednesday, July 10th. If indeed that happens, I imagine that'll be a very, very full house to be able to witness it. But now they'll have to start having the conversation, right, about when do you potentially shut him down, not wanting to throw too many innings on him. And I'm hearing the same thing about a guy that many people think is going to get dealt at the deadline, Wags, and Garrett Crochet on the south side. That, to me, seems like something the Brewers can't fish in. If you're going to go and try to acquire somebody needing it at the deadline, it can't, even though Crochet has the club control and the youth that they would covet, I don't think you can have any possibility of having to shut one of these guys down if you're acquiring an arm like that.
No, absolutely. The acquisition at the deadline isn't. It's for that final sprint. It's not necessarily always for the future. It's for the sprint. You play, let's just say you play 130 games with your boys. Man, that's the blood, sweat, and tears. They need a piece. You take somebody on, whatever you can to get you over that hump. That's not part of it. So you can't bring a guy in who's got 120 innings or 110 innings and have to shut him down. That's not what your acquisition is. And that's where the Pirates are going to have a dilemma. You got Skeens, you got Jones, you got Keller, you got the kid Salter. They've got a very, very good pitching staff going on in Pittsburgh right now, but they're all young. And you're right. When do you call it? Do the Pittsburgh Pirates throw in to try to make that last playoff spot? The Cubs are terrible. Yeah, St. Louis is okay. But who knows? Maybe Pittsburgh can do it. For the Milwaukee Brewers, you can't. You have to go after someone that can help you right now. Give us 3, 4, 5 great starts and give us a postseason appearance that we can remember forever.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, John.
And Wags, adding that extra team to the playoffs has changed the dynamic of baseball in more ways than we actually thought. You make a great point. At the trade deadline, teams that would normally be players are not players, and teams that would be sellers are now buyers. Do you like the way that, that extra team in the playoffs has changed that dynamic of baseball?
I do. I really do. I think it throws enthusiasm to a lot of cities, a lot of fan bases that can get excited about something. You're right. You have to balance that teeter-totter. Are we going to move a player that can help somebody immediately, and we in return get somebody that can help us in the future? Or do we trade somebody for the future to help us immediately? The Milwaukee Brewers are now in that situation where, with everything the way it's gone this year, like you just mentioned earlier, this is a situation where we have to go for somebody that can help us right now. We cannot worry about the future right now. We've got a good farm system. We've got young youth. We've got young youth at the big league level. Let's go get somebody who can play and give us a World Series, basically.
Well, in that part of it, Wags, is the difficult balancing act that the front office is going to have to deal with. And I fully believe in Matt Arnold being able to do it, because right now, since he's taken over, almost all of his moves have been really, really good ones. But when you do start to think about it, everybody can make their own assumption, and it's everyone's own opinion as to when is the best time to make more of an all-in move. They have so much big league talent right now that's under club control, especially in the lineup, that it would make me feel more aggressive now, because you still are a top 5 farm system, and half your lineup is on their rookie deals, not even looking at arbitration for a year and a half.
Great point. Now you look at it, where do we do this? We're talking about a core. We're talking about a group of guys that bleed, sweat, and run and travel and do everything together. The sooner you can get somebody into your fold, the better it is, because then you have to be relaxed. You have to play. You have to have no pressure. I would make the acquisition sooner than later. I've always believed that. If you're a playoff team, if you're a World Series team, I think you make those trades earlier, just like the Brewers did with CC Sabathia. I think we got him for what, Armin? Did we get like two or three starts before the trade
right
deadline?
I think they want to get him a little earlier, so
one start before the All-Star break, I think, too.
Yeah
and that's where now he fits in. Now he knows the nuts and bolts of the team. He knows the innuendos of each player. He becomes a teammate. It's tough to get a guy at the very end and try to make him fit in, because team chemistry is huge, and we talk about it a lot. Clubhouse leadership is huge. When you bring people in, the longer they can be together and feel comfortable, you're just going to reap benefits sooner than later.
Well, let me ask you then, Wags. The chemistry on this Brewer team is pretty damn good. It feels really good right now. Do you dare disrupt that to bring somebody in?
Yeah, that's why, way above my pay grade. That's why Matt Arnold and that front office have got to figure it out. I think the communication with Pat Murphy, a lot of upper management, a lot of front office people don't know what it's like to be in the dugout. They don't know what the clubhouse atmosphere is. They don't know what it's like flying on the charter plane when we're eating, drinking, listening to music, playing cards, talking. Pat Murphy and the coaching staff have to get together with Matt Arnold and that front office, and they have to figure out where we can subtract and where we can add. It's really, really delicate. We saw it before. The Brewers made a poor choice that one year. They dealt the wrong guy. You know what? They thought they could better the team. They thought everything was right, but there's so much more. And that's where coaching staff and front office have to get together, because they've got to be very, very careful. Who may not be producing on the field may be producing more in the clubhouse. He may do the cards. He may play Mafia. He may play whatever they do on the plane. They may play these games, and he is a leader of sorts, but maybe not hitting it up on the numbers. So you got to be very, very careful, especially with a championship team.
Well, especially with, and obviously the one everyone talks about is Adames. You know what he can do in terms of leadership. And I think that's what Brewers fans have a little PTSD from the Hater thing.
But some of the young players might be interesting too. If you're throwing Sal Frelick's name in there, I mean, him and Joey Ortiz are roommates. Does that throw something else off? It's a tough balancing act, Wags, that's for sure. Maybe what they should do is go to DocHounds.com/Wags, sign up for a Wings with Wags night, and then you could just waive the consulting fee. Not going to waive the Wings with Wags fee, because they got money, but the consulting fee you could waive, and then Matt Arnold just does everything you say, and then we go get a world championship. Seems pretty easy.
Yeah. The hair I got is gray, and the ones I don't, I'm bald. I don't need that stress. But don't forget, when you go to the dothounds.com, remember July 9th is Zabin night. That's Zabe night. He's going to watch Major League. And that's
Yeah.
how this all
Zabe has a night at the Dock Hounds?
How about that?
He does. Yeah.
He's going to be there
I have heard it all.
I think
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, July 9th, and Wags is going to watch his club get themselves a big time win. And then everyone's going to watch Major League
That's the deal.
on the video board after the game.
Because Zabin's never watched Major League somehow, some way.
Wags, you're going to have to be our eyes and ears on the field. And, because Armin's got a busy day that day.
I do.
July 9th
Yeah.
seems like a busy day for you.
That's your due date?
Yes.
Potential.
Well, potentially.
That's D-Day.
That's not the due date, but it's a due date.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is a date, though.
What's due that day?
July.
If it's not the due
If
date.
it ain't coming,
My child.
we're going in.
Yes. Yeah. That's basically what it is. So I was sad to tell Zabe I'm going to miss it that day because I wanted to be there when he watched Major League.
More
the
than
first
anything,
time.
I want to make sure that he doesn't leave early. Because you
Yeah.
leave early
Yeah.
like he's known to do, he's going to miss the best part.
So I know how this is going to end, right? Are they going to win or something?
Yeah, they're going to win or
Yeah.
something, right?
Pull one of
Right.
those deals. Yeah.
Wags,
And
make
we're going to have special guests. We're going to have special guests from the cast.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, I can't. I don't think Euchre's going to be there, but we may have. I reached out to Yankees first baseman,
I think I know who it is.
okay.
I think I know who's
Look
coming.
at Armin.
and I've also reached out to a Yankees pitcher, the one who hit his kid.
The Duke. We're going to the Duke.
The Duke.
Duke.
Let's
But no
go.
Harry Doyle. No Harry Doyle as of yet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now listen, the broadcasting school is paying off now for Harry Doyle, so he might not be able to, but that's some fantastic cast of characters to be able to be there on July 9th for Major League Night. Go to DocHounds.com, get some tickets now, and make sure you're there to not only watch the Dock Hounds win, but watch Zabin experience Major League. And then ask him questions throughout it. Hey, did you see that? Was that funny? Did you get that part? Did you get that part, Steve? Make sure you're asking him as much as possible.
Holding fire and making sure that he watches every second.
Got to be a quiz.
You can't leave.
That's going to be my favorite part.
Wags, we can't thank you enough, and we will need a full report. We'll talk to you next week before that comes up on July 9th for the Major League Night at the Dock Hounds game. Thanks a lot, man. That is Paul Wagner hanging out with us here on 9 to noon. Always fun. Never know exactly when we're going to potentially lose him at the beginning of the answer, but today was pretty good.
Yeah, I would say
Except
the
for that outro.
connection.
Yeah.
Connection was probably 85% today, so that was a good day for Wags.
Sure. I think that's where I would be on that scale too. 85%. Yeah.
Hey, man, that was a B. I was always happy if I got one of those.
Exactly.
Always excited when I got one of those. All right, 414-799-1973. We talked a little bit about upsetting that chemistry. Is that the biggest fear that you would have for the Milwaukee Brewers? Because John Kuhn asked it. I think it's a conversation worth having with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. What does, if anything, scare you, concern you about the Crew as we are already into the back half of the season after beating the Chicago Cubs 2-3 over the weekend? Head out for another West Coast trip here tonight. We'll discuss it coming up. It's 9 to noon on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And please take it from me when I say ordering windows and doors in an older home, that can be tough. The way they did things back in the day, much different than the way things are done now. But it's why many people with historic homes reach out to Pella Windows and Doors. They've got a team of experts that can customize windows and doors to match architecture from any era. And it really doesn't matter what kind of home you live in. They offer nearly endless possibilities in sizes, colors, finishes, and so much more. Pella's products, they stand the test of time as well. In fact, we're so confident of that they offer the best wood warranty in all of the business. And with deals like this, there's no reason to wait any longer. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com. And please tell Gina Della that John Kuhn sent you. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
9 to noon on the game. That is Zach Bryan. Try to get it to the hook. I didn't know exactly when it was coming, but that was when
It was a little bit of a wait.
I was gonna say it's a wait. It seems like a real
I don't
wait.
know if there was something
Real wait here.
I don't know if there's something quicker.
Here it
from
is.
him.
Here it is.
Is this it?
So this is the big hit that Zach Bryan had that he didn't play at American Family Amphitheater when he played at here in Milwaukee. However, this weekend, the big hit was maybe not, John, potentially the songs at the Zach Bryan concert there in Nashville. So they found Hawk Tuah girl. And
she's been found. She got found a lot faster than Edmonton Oilers girl.
way earlier, and not only by Playboy. Apparently there's stories that are wrong. There's stories that are misinformation about her, getting fired from a kindergarten job. And all
Oh,
this
so
other
that
stuff.
was fake news.
Apparently that was fake news.
Fake.
Fake news. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want the rest? Sorry.
I mean,
And spit on that thing. You get me?
You
I thought
me?
when you got there, I thought you were gonna let it ride. So she's on stage with Zach Bryan in Nashville this weekend. She is out here living the best life that you could possibly have. And my only question is, where is the cat with the video? Where is the guy with the microphone? She's famous, and he's standing here saying, "I got it. I got the content."
He thought he was getting news.
Apparently, no one cares about me.
This is my podcast. This is my content. This is my 150,000.
This is my show.
You know, he's not around.
Does he have the T-shirts to prove it?
I don't know. There's no
Does he have the
t-shirts.
T-shirts
Good
with the
question.
trophies to prove it, Armin? 150 grand, then what?
He's
Then
got
what?
nothing but a memory. I don't think he cashed in on this. I think she did. What about the friend? What about the friend?
That's fair. The friend got out of the way in perfect time to let her friend, I believe her name's Haley, from what I'm seeing, for Haley to get her shine.
I thought Hawk Tuah was Haley. But it could be both Haley.
Correct. Haley was.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not
The friend
I
said,
got
"I'm
you.
letting Haley have her moment."
Yes.
Right. It was the hold up, let him cook. Hold up, let her cook. And all of a sudden, she cooked up one of the greatest memes of the summer,
Oh, yeah.
if not the viral video of 2024. And she's letting this ride. Now, this is day what? 8 or 9 of the viral video fame.
Yeah, but this is the first
But
time.
this is higher than
How-
a lot of people ever get with their viral
Sure.
video.
And I wonder this: where does she stand on the Mount Rushmore of viralities of people who have been viral?
That's hard.
She is high now. Remember
Well, yeah.
KFC Chicken Boy? He is now in college on a athletic scholarship.
You know, there's a lot of people that we just forget about. I mean,
Hold on.
Tiffany Gomes is up there. You know,
I see, but she's completely
She
disappeared.
is gone. She doesn't have the staying power as Hawk Tuah.
what about
Hawk Tuah is, I mean, that is a GOAT type scenario.
I Love Turtles guy? Like what happened to that kid? Remember the kid that said I like turtles?
Yeah,
There's a
he's
lot of kids-
disappeared pretty quickly.
Doesn't hit like this.
I think because
Mm-mm.
now, see, the next step for her is a podcast.
I think, and I can,
Yeah.
and the fact that
Gotta
I
have
can
one.
very faintly remember it. It was the kid talking about Charlie, and Charlie bit his finger.
Charlie bit me. Charlie
Right?
bit me.
That one is the one that I think, and only because I can faintly remember it. That's the only one to me that is near this.
Just the- Charlie. Yeah,
That's
that
the one.
That's one.
That's the one.
13 years
Never
ago,
not be funny.
8.8 million views. These kids are probably in high school or a bit more.
8.8 million.
Yeah, these guys probably are.
That was
selling
13
Jordans
years
online.
ago, Armin. Yeah,
13 years ago.
16 to 18 is what they are. They're going to be graduating. They're
Yeah,
probably graduated from high school right now.
They're probably selling shoes to StockX now. I mean, isn't that what kids do? You know, at that age now.
Oh, that
I
makes
don't know.
sense. Yeah. Either that or, they're trying to get a PSA grade on some of their cards that they're
Exactly.
selling instead. I just like I like corn.
That
Kid.
I like corn. I like.
No one
that.
knows where that kid
I
is
want
nowadays.
to know. I want to know what that one is. I can't think of that one off the top of my head. What's that one?
Oh, it's just this little kid getting a big old ear of corn. I like corn. It's got the juice. And then it turns into
See
a
if I
big
can find it.
song and rolls on through. But like, yep.
So there you go.
Everything changed.
So
I
think
just
that's
got the
one.
juice.
What was the Mario Brothers sound effect in the background?
Someone put that in. Whoever was doing the
Oh,
little
okay.
video there, I didn't do
That was their slight edit
Okay,
to it.
see, see, I've never seen that one.
How about this kid? Right?
I like turtles too, kid.
Hey,
We do. We all love
It's live
turtles.
TV. I like turtles.
The one that we cannot say of what the young man said into the microphone, that's also a tough one, right? Little gray goatee cat with the hoodie above who walked up to the reporter and said, you guys kind of know where I'm going with
I
this.
think so,
I think
but-
some of the listeners understand, but there's no bit of the 6-word exchange that you can say at all on the radio. And he has continued on. However, people have tried to do that meme. It doesn't hit the same as it did where that one creepy guy grabbed the female's microphone and said it. People then would just try to yell it into the microphone, and people would be like, hey, we're on live TV. You're actually ruining our shot.
Hulk Tua is at golf events, making appearances.
Yeah.
Once it will be at College Game Day. There will be College Game Day
Sure.
signs for Hulk Tua. This is, to me, probably the biggest viral moment we have had since the internet.
It was the headline.
Tell
of
me
the-
one that's bigger, Armin.
John, it's just
Tell me
recency.
one that's bigger.
I don't want to be prisoner
She's
of the
on
moment.
stage with Zach Bryan.
Okay, it feels that way now, but
she made a headline in the Atlanta newspaper when they traded DeJounte Murray
Okay, I mean, yeah, I get it in the
from
moment.
a Hawk to a Pelican.
I just
That's so great.
It was so good.
That is so
I read it
perfect.
like 4 times. I'm like, wait a second. Oh, wow.
Now I
What
got it.
editor cleared that? Good
Yeah.
work, guys. Good work, Atlanta Herald. 414-799-1973. I don't know. This has got some real lasting power if we're sitting here. Yeah,
Armin, I
Jerome,
think
back
it's-
up Terry. That year in and year out gets me excited to be able to watch on
Sure.
July 4th.
no, I mean, backup Terry is one.
Backup
is
Terry.
one of the greatest.
Oh, Terry.
I just feel like that we're being little prisoners of the moment by calling it the biggest viral moment ever. I
I
know
know.
it's up
No,
there.
I think it is, Armin. I think it is. I think there's one man that's sitting on the edge of a bed that we can't really talk too much about,
Yeah.
but that's the
Yeah.
only one that's bigger
Yeah. It's just, they're
in
right
a couple
there.
ways.
Yeah, that's fair.
I love this show, man. 414-799-1973. Talk and text line is hitting it on the head with the other viral video that we cannot discuss. But this might be. Are we being prisoner of the moment? It's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. I don't know that there's 3 or 4 other ones that are taking down Hawk Tuah Girl. These are the hot debates that we have to roll through at this moment. However, some people think that now the Philadelphia 76ers are a finals team because they have Paul George. There's apparently people saying that. There's apparently people trying to figure out who the Milwaukee Bucks could go grab. And more importantly, there's people that are wondering if the Milwaukee Brewers are going to make that massive splash at the trade deadline. Paul Wagner thought they just might. Mike Heller was on the morning show today, said it won't be something similar to that. We'll keep discussing all of this and more viral videos as we continue. It's 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Armin. Stay wide on the game. I always wonder what Dr. Phil was thinking during that exact exchange. But I've also wondered that about a lot of things that have happened on that program.
Sure. He's probably thinking she's going to be richer than me. Well, he didn't.
I don't think he forecasted it.
No, I mean, and he's probably pretty rich. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. These network distribution deals for these shows are crazy. But she's worth like $50 million now. Danielle Bregoli, Bad Baby.
50 million? I thought it was more than that.
Well, it might be. It might be. That's what the internet says.
And the interesting thing you mentioned about Dr. Phil, that's the one thing on television that we still haven't heard. No one's talked about the rights deals for, Judge Mathis or, Judge
Judy gets like 30-some million a year.
The daytime courts are also still in demand. We're only talking about TV deals going up for professional sports. I want to know what's happening for the divorce courts, because that show continues to go on. And for some reason, my son found it on the free TV of the smart TV in our house.
Oh, he's watching like Judge Million and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of a sudden my man's flipping on divorce court, and I'm like, buddy, I don't think this is exactly what we should be watching. Let's get back to the Snoop channel where he's, we're watching Doggy Land, or let's watch something like that. Instead, we got, two 40-year-olds yelling at each other because he said, "Don't talk to her. I don't want to talk to her."
He likes when the gavel slams,
He's loving it. Yeah, no doubt. They tried to interact with or replicate it with the baseball bat.
There are a lot of daytime court shows, though. I mean, over the years,
they're not going anywhere.
So many of them. There's Mathis. There's People's Court, which is another franchise. Judge Judy.
At what point in time are we going to be convinced people aren't this messed up? Are they?
Well, it's a good question. Like, is this all real? And by to believe every case goes through small claims court is just like this. Like, you know what I mean? It's just hard to believe.
But I want to believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I do want to believe that there, John, are enough people in this world that cannot settle their differences without, Judge Judy weighing in her stance and then finally deeming that, yes, you are going to pay that money.
Well, and see, that's the trouble, too, because we want reality TV to be real.
Yes.
We want it to be real. But very rarely is it real. Armin, one of the best reality shows ever, Survivor, is not real.
No, it's a contrived game show. It's okay. It's happening somewhat, but it's in a controlled environment, right? I mean, what's the closest reality show we ever got? I mean, besides Jersey Shore season 1, that's it.
Season 1.
Well, that was the most. No one knew them yet. I mean,
I don't know. I always thought Naked and Afraid was pretty real, but
but I think all of them, by the time we got to that point, have been contrived.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They have been staged. The Real World is the first one.
Yeah,
and that probably was as real as it got. The season 1 of The Real World.
I guess. Yeah, Real World. Yeah, what 92? I think that's what it was.
When MTV actually did stuff.
Yeah.
Now MTV is just replays of
ridiculousness.
Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah. A bunch of ridiculousness.
How does that happen, by the way?
That's a great question.
How does MTV go from being a station that plays good music, videos all day long, mixed in with a couple good shows, to just reruns of ridiculousness all day long? And how many
Spotify?
How long did he record for MTV? Because I've never seen the same one ever.
That guy must put so many shows in the can.
They're reruns, and I've never seen a rerun.
And they all started with viral videos. I mean, they got all this content before any of us were realizing it on TikTok and Instagram.
That's a good point. I mean, really, that's what it was. That's what it was. It was, and they're just showing viral videos, just like TRL was music videos, and people voted on them every day. So I guess Judge Judy would be, you talk about the $500 million club in pro football athletes. Judge Judy's worth $480 million as estimates, according to Forbes. So she'll be, I'm sure, the first $500 million TV judge. How about that? She got that.
And the worst part is, because it's not reality television, she's not that much of a smart, you-know-what. She doesn't talk to people like that on a daily basis.
Sadly.
I am convinced she is the nicest old lady in the world. Like, you meet her and she talks so nice to you. She's always uplifting, very good in spirits. And yet she goes on to Judge Judy and cusses everybody out.
Just fries people. You cut her off at the grocery store. You're like, come on, just give me a little something, Judy. Oh no, it's okay. There
is a sense of that. As real as you think you can be on these shows, you are going to start to naturally play a character that the people want you to be, and the network wants you to be, and the audience wants you to be.
One of your favorite shows. The Bachelor.
It's a great example.
It's completely gone. Now it's all just how can I become more of an Instagram star?
None of these people are actually looking for
love.
a marriage relationship. How many times has it actually worked where the people have stuck together?
What is
It's
the
rare.
batting? What is the batting percentage? What is the hit
good question.
percentage on The Bachelor?
I'm-
People that have gotten married and are still together.
The best thing
Golden
is-
Bachelor only lasted 3 months.
Yeah, the best thing is the only ones I can think of, and this just shows the flaw in the process. The only two I can think of people that got married off of that show picked the wrong one. There was a race car driver, Ari Lyondike. Lyondike.
Ari, yeah.
All right. His dad was a better race car driver than he was, at least for my parents.
I didn't even know he was a race car driver.
They were big IndyCar
Okay,
fans.
yeah.
John, he picked this one girl and then decided that the other girl that was in the finals was actually the one he was in love with.
Sure.
So he proposed to her. Then on television, they had like 30 minutes of him breaking up with her. Fantastic television, by the way. Then they're still married. They got like 2 kids, him and the other girl. And then it happened early on with some guy named Jason.
Jason
I believe.
Mesnick, yeah. He picked one girl and he went on live and said, I changed my mind.
I changed my mind.
And
I want the other
Imagine-
girl, and they're still married.
together. And she's from
Imagine
Wisconsin.
being on a television show. You have all the time in the world to make your decision, and you still need a mulligan. You still need a mulligan.
Can I get a breakfast ball?
But this was, pre-social media. They're just out there trying to get followers now. I'm telling you, man. That's just what it is.
Oh man, what
You
you
start-
sound
and start their
disappointed. You
podcast.
sound disappointed about reality television these days. Urban.
It was a fun show when
Reality
they,
TV has fallen
Yeah.
off for you. You don't like it anymore.
I like it to be somewut more authentic if
What
I
are
can.
you and
but
Laura going to watch after you have this little kid now?
I don't know. Opening ceremonies don't start till
Just
July
the little one.
26th. But
Best thing is reality television can come to your house because that baby's
That's
gonna
it.
do something crazy every
Yeah.
single day.
that's it. That's what we're gonna watch. I've already tried to figure out the first 10 games I'm gonna show my child when she comes out on this earth. I'm not gonna start like Billy
Okay,
did.
I want to know
2014.
number 10 right now,
Yeah.
Armin. What's number
Oh,
10?
I haven't come up with a full list yet, but I pretty much decided Super Bowl 31 is the number one. Super Bowl
Okay.
45.
Why not 45? Why is
Well-
31 above 45?
Well, sorry, John. I just, it's just, I don't know why. I just
Kind
feel
of rude.
31's the one
Rude
I'm
of you.
more emotional
Because he
about.
can do full play-by-play of 31.
I think we're doing Marquette, Kentucky 03. Then we're doing game 6 of the Bucks championship on number
that's-
4. So
I
I'm
actually-
stacking them through.
Boy, I'd probably do, if you're doing Bucks,
Yeah.
game 6, yes. You got to do game 4.
Yeah, I know. That game 4 is amazing. Actually,
You
all
got to
the
do
finals.
game 4. That game 4 to me was the best.
Yeah, I think we're watching all of them, actually.
Game
I
4,
was gonna
game
say, you
5,
probably watching
even
all
game
of them.
5.
Yeah.
Watch 4, 5, and 6 in sequence. That's
Yeah.
how you teach the kid.
That's way better than watching 4, 5, and 6 in sequence of like Harry Potter. Way better situation for you. Or you could be like me and teach them tough lessons right out of the gates.
Yeah, you did.
Start with the 2014 NFC title game.
You did that early on.
Then we go to the 2007 NFC title game. Game 7 of the NLCS in 2018 was number 3.
I don't know why. I guess they always say you don't want to
Life's
give them,
hard. You got to get a helmet.
Yeah, you don't want to give them ice cream and sweets too early. You
Mm-mm.
want to show them the tough stuff.
Yeah, but we had
first.
cake yesterday, and my boy was fired up. Chocolate cake, big fan. He was a big fan of the
Was that his
chocolate
first
cake.
time? First time? at the
Yeah,
cake?
might have been his first time with the chocolate cake, because mom tried to give him all this like healthy stuff. Dad's
Never
like-
forget your first time.
This is better than
Never.
strained peas.
And bad thing is, it never gets better either. Never gets better from here. 414-799-1973. They don't say that about 9 to noon because our third hour, always our best one yet. Our investment hour comes up next. Statewide on Hour 3, 9 to noon, always our best one yet. It's going to feature a Coons Can't Miss coming up in about 10 minutes from right now. We already chopped it up with Paul Wagner. Make sure that you get in for your chance to have wings with Wags. DocHounds.com/Wags to go there. Discuss the Paul George signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. 4 years, $212 million. They also lock up Tyrese Maxey. He was obviously under contract, but a rookie extension keeps him in Philadelphia for an extended period of time. Many people thinking that runs them up in the East. I don't know exactly how far that goes up into the East. But John Kuhn, Armin Sarian, it's definitely another really good player coming to the Eastern Conference. And maybe, John, you asked in the first hour, who's the favorite in the West? I got no clue. In the East, I still know that it's Boston. And maybe Philadelphia and Milwaukee a little bit closer after this Paul George signing, or maybe not. Maybe they're getting a 34, 35-year-old who has already seen his best days in Los Angeles.
I think for the Milwaukee Bucks, anytime a player of Paul George's caliber resume comes to a conference on a move like this, especially a team that's been a contender, although, one would dispute based off of our past arguments about contender, whether the Sixers are or are not a contender, you have to wonder, where do we now stack up? And I think the Bucks, honestly, there's one team and one team only that you have to look up at, and that's the Boston Celtics. I don't think there's another team within the Eastern Conference that you look at and say they are hands down better than us right now. The Celtics are the one. And the Milwaukee Bucks, I mean, they need to do their own business here. They need to get younger themselves. They need to get healthier themselves. And the Milwaukee Bucks are, I mean, that window that we talked about just a few years ago that was open, it's not the same window. It feels drastically different. And now that NBA free agency is here, I was wondering maybe the Milwaukee Bucks might have some things to hit that news cycle that we could talk about.
Well, and the interesting thing is, John, you mentioned it, that this feels like a year of people would say, I'm working on me, right? I'm taking this year to focus on myself, right? Right after a relationship, you ask your buddy, like, well, you're going to get back out there right away. No, I'm taking some time. I'm working on myself.
Focus on other things.
Yeah.
Myself.
Really into my career right now.
Sure.
It seems like the Bucks are trying to. When you draft a 19-year-old who played in Australia a year ago and played like 5 or 6 minutes, Tyler Smith from the G League Ignite as well, a couple of absolute lottery ticket dudes.
Yeah.
It appears that they are right now stepping out of the, well, we need to get one more guy to beat this team away, right? Like last year with Dame felt like that urgency. And now I think needed. They don't have any assets to really go out and try to bring guys in. They're in that second apron where you can't really do a whole heck of a lot.
No, it's got to be the guys they have. Basically.
Yeah, they're realizing that if we're going to get better and try to extend this thing, that we need to focus on what's going on in this house and not how are we going to get one more guy to compete better on the outside with the bench of the Celtics.
And I think when I said make headlines, I don't mean with a name, with big time.
Either
names.
way, yeah.
I'm talking role players, position role players that will help make the Bucks more formidable, because you saw what happened with a couple of their role players as they left in Grayson Allen and Dante. They had career years.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks need that now on their team. They need their role players to have career years for them to, I hate to say it like this, compete with the Boston Celtics.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think like who's going to play shooting guard next year? Who's the starting shooting guard? I mean, Malik Beasley's not going to be on the Bucks.
Yeah,
next
he's
year.
going to be gone somewhere else.
So he was in the forest, lost for a long time at the end of the year, but he had a really good half a year. That first half a year was really good. He was a good pickup at the time. So who will be the shooting guard? These are questions to be answered. We know Doc doesn't like young guys. Is it going to be?
It does not
Ajax?
seem to love a bunch of young guys.
Yeah, is it going to be Ajax or Marjan? I guess that those are the guys in the roster right now. If you're going to throw somebody in there, but you would think they have to make some move for something like that, right? For like, I call a role player, technically a starter, but we don't really know. So there are questions to be answered still for the Bucks there. But yeah, I mean, it makes Dame getting better. It's Giannis getting better and them staying healthy, right?
It makes the most sense. But I mean, how many times can you rinse and repeat we just need to be healthy in the playoff mode? Right. You need to shake it up. And we're watching it with a Brewers team that we didn't expect it to happen. Right. Okay, we're going to shake things up. This is what we're rolling. Okay, well, sometimes it turns out when you do change things, there is a heightened sense of energy. There is a heightened sense of fun. There is a heightened sense of production. And that's what we have in the Brewers. And that's probably what the Bucks have to do. They have to mix some things up with their roster.
Yeah, and they've taken the big swings, right? So now the core part of it's going to be what it is. And John in the 262, if we don't get younger, the Knicks and Pacers are teams we're also going to be looking up at also. But
they got younger in the draft.
Yeah, and people immediately bitched about it, right?
Why didn't we get help now? Why didn't we get help now?
It's it's a difficult balancing act, and John Horst kind of still talked about it after draft night. You can't just get younger for the sake of getting younger,
sure.
right? Like you need to try to at least stay relatively on the same playing field that you're at. But they can find ways to supplement the team and find a little bit more youth. But I still think you got to be superstar shopping, or at least trying to hunt. And that's what they're doing with the big swings in the draft, right? Do they think AJ is going to come in and play 12 minutes next year? Maybe. Probably not. Better chances at 23, if you were going to find somebody that could fill a little bit of a role this year, or take a swing at a guy that could be more than just a rotation guy in the future, I still think in this market, you got to take that swing when your focal point and Giannis is still just turning 30 this year. If you want that to be still competitive in the next phase of this contract and then that next extension, you can't just be finding young players that are going to play John 18 minutes a night.
What you bring up is a very good point, because we've talked about Giannis's age and Giannis's play style many times the last few years. You mentioned Paul George being 34, 35 as the aging player, not the same player once was. Hey, we're going to blink and Giannis is going to be there, right? How many big time seasons does Giannis have left with his play style? Would you say 3, Armin?
It's probably
4,
probably in the mix of 3.
I go 3 to 5. Yeah. But at some point, at some point, it's got to change, and
unless
at some point, it'll start to evolve a little bit.
Right, unless he can successfully do that, which we don't know if that's what makes him great. He can do that and still be great yet. We know what makes him great now is the way he plays now. We don't know if he can people talk about Hakeem like when he was young, and then later on in his career, he became the Dream Shake Hakeem, where he was more crafty shooting. We don't know yet, but I would say 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So if you want to aggressively pursue a window, it's hard to also try and get younger and more athletic and build from the bottom that way. So I think you have to try and find a balance of the two. And Bucks fans will never be happy in that regard, right? You're always going to have people saying you have to pursue and get help now, win now to pursue the window. And the other hand, there's going to be some saying, yeah, but we're getting too old.
But are you also, and this is where the Milwaukee Brewers come in, and I do believe that it's a little bit more apples to apples as it is. The Brewers did that and completely flipped their roster to now a youthful team that is producing, right? Like they didn't just get younger for the sake of getting younger. They got younger with Joey Ortiz, who's borderline all-star this year, right? Now they got younger playing Bryce Terang last year, who now this year you could say borderline all-star, Gold Glove caliber. Sure. They got younger and better. And that's where Dan and Delafield, I should say, on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line, answered the question of what the crew could do at the deadline. If there was ever a time for the Brewers to make a splash move, this is it. They have their all-star closer coming back soon. The offense, better than they've had in years. Solid to above average defense. They also have the pieces to make a serious run, a package of some young players, and go get an arm to bring over and take us over the finish line. They have tons of assets from the farm club that are attractive to building teams and shouldn't need to move any key pieces from the big league club, push the chips to the middle of the table. Now, this is the window. Well, it's definitely the start of one and maybe the closing of another. If you're going to lose Willy Adames, John, I do struggle to see a better opportunity to mesh the rebuild and this is the last year of our window. Maybe we do make a move right here because you have young players that are going to be able to supplement.
And this is what's tough. And we watch it with the Packers every year where you have 15, 20 new guys on a roster, and it's continually recycling, continually changing and getting younger. And we wonder, hey, when are you going? We use the term all in. I mean, when
it's an overused term.
When do you actually go all in?
Rarely.
And there is such a fine line between, okay, this is the 1 year where we can actually, I hear this. I hear you reading Dan and Delafield. And I think to myself, I don't know if it is the time to go all in. I mean, they are so good. They have such a different vibe, and you start to wonder, why would you go all in now? Isn't now when you trust what you have already built and let your guys come back and then decide where you're at? To me, this Brewers team, I keep hearing we need to make a move. Do we? Is there a move really that should be done?
What makes this year different than 08 or 11 or 14 or 19 or 21 or last year being the year to go all in? I mean, you could say that any year you're a contender. And if you're a contender a lot, that means you have a larger, that's why I hate talking about windows. Because I don't believe in windows. If you are taking bites at the apple all the time, you have a garage door.
Well,
open.
no, their window in 2011 slammed shut.
That was a 1-year window because they went for the Greinke and all that, and then they
had Greinke in 2012. They were able to trade the asset, but they were taking
made the trade,
Fielder to free agency.
And you could say the same about
which
the
would be
year, right?
Yeah, but I mean that was a massive swing. They hadn't been in the playoffs in a quarter century. This one would feel more similar to the 2011 to 2024 with one of your frontline benchmark captain like players taken to free agency, and it's going to be understood that Willy Adames is going to sign somewhere else. That one was a crippling time for the Crew. However, they didn't have as many assets necessarily built up in the farm system going into 2011. They were kind of barren at that point.
That's kind of why I killed them the next couple of years. Is because it was like, all right, we're gonna make this move now. We're gonna give up some of the prospects. And yes, you're right. They knew Prince was gonna leave, and that's sometimes the process for small market teams. But that's what's made the Brewers, in my opinion, so impressive the last 7 years.
Do you have something? Do you have something for 920? I mean, we are really going to miss Adames and his 1-for-27 hitting streak next year.
Yeah, he's in a slump. He's in a slump right now, but I think it's pretty obvious he's helped this team a lot more than they're on and off the field. I really do.
You will miss his 2 to 3 go-ahead home runs that he's hit already this year.
He's had big moments. If we're going to be prisoners of the moment, then yes. I mean, what are we going to do? William Contreras has kind of been scuffling around.
Absolutely.
Are we saying he hasn't helped
his month of June? They have not flashed the numbers on because we're more focused on the 318 average for Jackson Chourio. Let's not do the 204 batting average for William Contreras in the month.
Guess what? That's baseball. The guy's going to go up and down throughout the year.
Can you
win and withstand during doing it?
And
right?
that's why I say, like, I don't think you have an all-in moment on a team that's surging. This team is still surging. When you have down months and you're still winning more games than you're losing in a month, with your best players not playing their best baseball of the year, you're still winning. And now you're 16 games over 500. And then you'll be 17 games over. And eventually you find yourself at the end of a season. And I don't know if this is a team that has to make a move to be relevant in the playoffs. I just don't think it is.
No, I don't think relevant, John. Absolutely not. To be able to maybe push themselves across the finish, I think they might need one more starting arm. That Devin Williams arm in the back end of the bullpen is going to be the best addition you're going to make.
We still are not convinced that this Brewers team can win a World Series as is.
Yeah, I think they need one. I think they need one more legitimate starter to be able to go through. I love Toby. I love Tobias Myers.
Yeah, you need a lot to go your way, though.
I'd like a veteran to be taking the ball.
I think it would definitely help too, obviously, but I don't know. I think they have as much chance either way. I mean, if they're in the mix, if they're in the playoffs, in the race, they're dancing.
I love Armin because it's the same answer every year. Get me in the playoffs and I'll roll the dice. If you give me a seat at a table where I can roll dice, I like my chances. That's Armin's philosophy. Here's my philosophy. Okay.
Yeah.
We have talked pitching and defense for 5 years in a row. We have talked pitching and defense. Hasn't worked. This year, I'm willing to say throw it all out, throw it all away, and this team hits, and they just have an it factor that I believe in. I think this team, I'm nervous about the trade deadline because I'm nervous about shaking something up. I'm nervous about anything getting changed.
Luckily, I don't. I think they're completely out of the realm now where they'll be trading guys from the big league club. I don't see Frelick. I don't see Frelick being the move. I was calming Tim Allen down about it on Saturday.
Now that
Garrett Mitchell is still a little dinged up. But he's expected to join the team tonight. in
well, then-
Colorado.
okay, then.
It was
Okay,
a
then.
slight little tweak of
Yeah.
the hamstring as he was finishing up that time in
Ugh.
AAA. So he'll be back with the team coming
'Cause
up
there's
here tonight.
Kind of a glut of outfielders there, so I don't know.
Now I'm excited because John was talking about rolling dice, trying to get a hit. That sounds like either a hard ways bet or just putting it on the field, shooting some craps. You can do that
Craps.
after you place a couple of bets at the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
You know, Armin, we get people texting in, we get people calling
Sure,
in.
yeah.
Heck, we got people emailing sometimes. What Coon pick? What Coon pick? I need to know. What did he pick? Well, listen, last Friday, if you missed it, that's on you. We had another one, another big one, a parlay on Friday, a three-way parlay. Orioles win Friday. Brewers win Friday. And Piera gets a second round knockout in his UFC title fight.
Beat
That's
the
a
heck out of
three-leg
that, man.
parlay. What did that pay out, Armin?
Plus 429.
Come on.
4. If you missed, that's on you. That's a week's worth of winning in one day. And that's
Right.
what we did on Friday. And that's what you do every time you head down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. And it's not just about the picks. It's not just about the bets. It's about sitting in lavish luxury while you watch your greatest sporting events in a game-like atmosphere. Stadium seating that is unmatched. The biggest thing outside of Vegas, bigger than most sports books in Vegas. And have yourself a damn time. Make your way down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. What are we doing today, Armin? How about Copa America? And this is where we stand.
Let's go.
This is where we stand in Group C here. The United States at 1-0-1. Actually, 1-1-0. Why do they put draws ahead of losses in the standings?
It's 1-0, and yeah, I don't know.
Why does soccer do that?
I don't think they do. Are you sure? I'm just confused.
I'm looking at it right now. They put wins, then draws, then losses. That's really strange.
yeah, that's weird.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's weird.
so the upset loss against Panama, we picked that
Sure.
one. We had the red card in the 14th minute. It was silly. It was dumb, but it's got USA in a spot where they're currently sitting in second place. But Panama gets to play Bolivia, who is absolutely god awful.
Mhm.
And if Panama can beat Bolivia by 2 goals,
Yeah, there's a lot
and the
going
U-
on here.
and,
yeah.
and the USA loses, then Panama leapfrogs the USA.
Yeah, the U.S. has to beat Uruguay here to advance. However,
Everybody says that. Everybody says that. I think all they need to do is tie. In fact, I'm betting the tie, Armin.
you're betting the tie
I'm
today?
betting the tie.
Let's
Okay.
go.
No win for Uruguay, no win for the USA. It's a tie, which gives us the win here. And the tie bet is actually the biggest payer here, plus
Mhm.
225.
All right.
I'm taking the tie between USA and Uruguay because here's the deal too. A lot of people think it's a win that's going. I think by the time USA and Uruguay play, they're going to be battling it out. They're not going to know. USA is going to come off the field with this tie. They're going to think they missed out on the knockout stages, and then they're going to come to find out, oh my gosh, we're actually in this thing. We're
'Cause
going to
some-
get to play another day.
Because somehow Bolivia is going to beat Panama. Is what
I
we're-
don't think they're going to beat them, but I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they're going to lose by 1.
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated process to how they can advance. I mean, it's sort of complicated. It depends on what Panama, Bolivia do, and then if the U.S. beats Uruguay, it still might not be enough because there might be a goal differential situation. So, all right, we're betting the draw on USA
Who
and
has ever done that
Uruguay.
before? Who has been wacky enough
To bet the draw?
a tie? That's what we're doing here.
It's
today.
awesome.
I remember being
I want
there.
both teams to play well.
I remember being.
I want both teams to play.
Yeah.
I remember being down at
agree.
Potawatomi Sportsbook during NFL season. There was one older guy at the bar that had bet a tie at a quarter between Bears and Lions, and the field goal went through at one tie, and he started going crazy and high fiving everybody. He made a nice chunk. It was like plus 200 or 300 or something like that.
There we go.
So that's the one time I remember a guy betting a tie, and that was for the quarter ending. So
Soccer draws are an electric factor.
yeah, and they're likely. People love it. People that love soccer are just as fired up about a draw as much as a win or loss result. You know.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I can't get. But let's go. Let's do that soccer thing tonight, USA. Come on. Let's soccer it up. We are going to steal Mike Heller's thunder on the other side. Badgers
We got a
breaking news. We got
Yes.
Badgers breaking news.
Suck it, Heller.
And we also have a Buck signing that you're not going to want to miss.
Let's
and we
go.
all are totally familiar with this young man. It's 9 to noon on the game. This hour at 9 to noon brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and happyplacehemp.com. You can relax and get 25% off with happyplacehemp.com using promo code Billy. All their products are fantastic. They're all also made locally and legally right here in Wisconsin, in Muskego, Wisconsin. If you want to go and stop by, say hi to Rob and Chris over at Happy Place Hemp. They also now have a THC CBD infused citrus seltzer called Drift. No alcohols, no calories, no problems. Just help you drift into happiness. Free shipping when you order 3 or more 4-packs, and also some CBD, CBN, Sleepy Time gummies. Delta 8s, if you're trying to have some real fun this weekend, you can do that as well at happyplacehemp.com, promo code Billy. And always good when Wiz Khalifa is the soundtrack to Happy Place Hemp. 414-799-1973. We mentioned breaking news, and we get to say, suck it, Heller. We get the Badgers breaking news here from John McNamara and countless other individuals that were watching your boy Hardy Watts announcement on Instagram, 4-star offensive guard committing to the University of Wisconsin. Number 1 player in Massachusetts, 6th ranked nationally in the 2025 class of interior offensive linemen. They now have 21 recruits or commits for the 2025 class. Now, that's a lot on volume as to where they're going to rank. Right now, for their 2025 recruiting class. Now, that, again, will fluctuate, maybe closer to signing day, but it's pretty clear that they're putting their efforts, finances where their mouth is, and the Badgers football program is going to compete for the amount of guys coming in. Also, the interesting thing is, guys, they're still pounding the pavement for high school players.
Yeah,
that's what's clear here. And it is something that Luke Fickell mentioned when he first got the job. Now, they supplemented the roster with some transfers before the flip to 2024, right? Right in that early signing window. But he said, we still want to be developing high school players, and they're a massive part of that 2025 class that they're going to start bringing in.
And when we talk about Wisconsin, talking about a team that used to be known as Lineman U.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not sexy.
Sure.
It's not, crazy fun. Well, yeah, I mean, hey,
the guys are sexy,
I
but
love
the position not.
All
yes.
love for the big boys. All love for the big boys. I mean, you were a lineman. I was honorary
lineman.
Yeah, you were.
Well, all love for the big boys, but it was Wisconsin. You want to go to the NFL as an offensive lineman? You go to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the deal. So it's cool that they have that maybe potentially coming back. What's even better than that is you got yourself a 4-star sitting at a press conference a year, well, not quite a year, 9 months away from signing day with 3 hats on the table: Wisconsin, Clemson, and Michigan. And you don't expect Wisconsin to be the one picked up in that instance, talking about Michigan, and here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got another one. You said 21, Billy?
21 commits for that 2025 class.
21 commits already for that class. That's Luke Fickell doing the damn thing down there, and that's what's going to bring some excitement going into not just this season, but seasons beyond.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing, John, and it's something that I know that I'm going to be fighting doing the post-game show this year when the Badgers very well could be, as an old partner of mine used to say, same old Badgers. They're going to win a game that you're going to walk in and say, holy cow, they upset Penn State, they upset maybe Oregon, they upset maybe Alabama, right? One game that you're not supposed to win, and probably lose 1 or 2 games that you're not supposed to lose, right? Indiana a year ago. But how depleted their recruiting staff was, and their recruits coming in for 2 to 3 seasons, 2 full seasons. You're still fighting that uphill battle right now.
Yeah.
The fruits of this labor are going to come through in like the 26, 27 years. But man, Luke Fickell's buying himself some equity. I know that it's going to continue to get hampered come the season when maybe the result is not exactly what you do anticipate. But man, this is a long game that you got to play in college sports, and they're fighting it to fill out what was left kind of barren.
The one thing that does scare you is the landscape of college sports now is different.
For sure it does.
The transfer portal, NIL, kids can change their mind so much easier now than what they could in the past. And before, you would look at this and you would say, this is great. Wait for this team in 3 to 4 years. I don't know if you have that leash like you once did, Billy. It's now hey, this is great. This 2025 class is awesome. It's going to be really cool. But what are we going to do in the meantime? Like, we got to make sure people don't change their mind on us before now and then.
Well, and fans will always be impatient too. I mean, I think there was a lot of people excited about the hire and right away expected to see massive excitement, results, explosiveness.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it didn't really turn out that way. So I think it's the tough thing for fans is to be able to have that patience to see the vision. And then, yeah, you give them time to see if it works out, obviously. But this is the plan you put in place. This is the seed you plan for the future. It's even with the landscape of college athletics changing and portal and NIL changing things so you can have quicker turnarounds. I think it's still tough if you want to build that program football to have it that quickly, right?
Yeah.
You have to start building, and especially if you're recruiting high school kids.
But John's right. You do have to make it at least pretty clear that there's a
Mm-hmm.
path for you to get on the field, and it's going to happen. And you can preach patience as long as possible. It's now just as difficult to preach patience to fan bases as it is to, number 2 and 3 on your depth chart, to be able to preach patience and know that you're going to get developed. And then, like John said, it's a tough act to balance right now. And it's got to be, I think, the most difficult job of college coaches in the recruiting process, John, is trying to find the kids that are still going to be incentivized on, as everyone can say it, that second contract in the NFL is the one that, if we're only talking money, let's worry about getting you the second contract in the NFL, because this number is great. But if we're chasing 25, 30,000 here, I don't know that we're getting to the place where you're talking the generational wealth. You still got to be able to develop kids that way and allow players, and some guys won't, some guys never will, see the forest through the trees and say, that is still the payday that you're talking about. And that's the one that you got to strive for, instead of, hey, I can make an extra 15,000 here and that money's at least in my pocket today. It's a tough act.
It is. And that is why, if you embrace it, like some schools I believe are, if you embrace it, you will be so much more successful at it than,
it's a good point.
Talking it down. There's been a lot of negative comments made about this by coaches around the country, basketball, football alike. And those are the ones that should have the most support compared to other sports.
Totally.
Absolutely the most support, but the more turbulent waters in those sports as well. The ones that complain about it, I wonder, have they fully embraced it?
Yeah, I doubt they will. And I will say this, just embracing NIL, with a name like Hardy Watts,
I was just going to ask
you're going to make some money in name, image, and likeness.
Does that make you excited just to see a guy on a lineman named Hardy Watts?
My man's name is Hardy.
I mean,
that's amazing.
Come on now.
I can't wait to be able to see him in Cardinal and white. That's fantastic. We're also going to be able to see a new member of the Milwaukee Bucks, because we got more breaking news thanks to Shams Charania and Adrian Wojnarowski. Your boy DeLon Wright.
Let's go.
Newest Milwaukee Buck, 1 year, $3.3 million signing. Nate Marzion tells us that DeLon Wright shot 46% on catch and shoot threes last season, while having 119 assists to just 14 turnovers. Very solid pickup for the Bucks.
Yeah. I guess,
hey, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I knew DeLon Wright was in the NBA.
Yeah, I knew Darrell Wright was his brother. That's what I knew.
Yeah, not all that familiar with DeLon Wright's game. However, seems like a pretty solid perimeter defender. Didn't need one of them.
Like, guys, it's like asking shall receive.
6'5".
Last segment,
We just
I
said,
said, who's it going to be?
Where is our Milwaukee Buck headline? Where is that? And we also said probably not going to be a big name guy. Yeah, this was not a big name. But did you know this about DeLon Wright, Billy? 508 games.
Oh, okay.
He's played 508 games.
I like that number. Yes.
This man has rarely been on the same team 2 consecutive years. We're talking Heat, Wizards, Hawks, Kings, Pistons, Mavericks, Raptors, Grizzlies, Raptors. I mean,
Louise.
He's got a sheet here and this is a long-time vet now. This is 10 years. 10 years in the NBA. So this is not getting younger.
Brutal for his tax guy. He's got to file in all those states. No, but yeah.
That is tough,
basically this
That's
year,
a good point.
He's the next Malik Beasley, right? The cheap 1 year starting shooting guard. That's a role player. I think I don't know if he'll start.
I was going to say, I don't know if he's starting.
We don't know yet, obviously, but I guess Ask and you shall receive. So
That's true. You called for where are we going to get some guard news? When are we going to get some guard news?
You had to get
you got
somebody.
some right there.
You had to get somebody, so you have the line right. So,
and it also makes sense that it happened during the breaking news show, which is 9 to noon.
Yeah,
and like whatever Mike Heller thinks is the breaking news show, no longer is, because again, the Milwaukee Brewers also breaking news. Garrett Mitchell officially reinstated from the 60-day disabled list, injured list. Pardon me.
So you have 5 outfielders, right? I mean, yeah. Because you can't say the DL anymore.
Can't say DL. It's IL. Injured list.
I think you're all right.
Son of a gun, Billy. Shape up. Get better. Garrett Mitchell reinstated from the 60-day injured list. Tyler Black optioned to AAA Nashville. And your boy Owen Miller has been designated for assignment.
Tough spot for Owen.
Tough move for the Wisconsin native.
There's,
but he'd be right back with the organization.
Could be back. Obviously, there's a lot of movement involved.
Or he could be like your boy Keston here and just start hitting a bunch of bombs with the AAA club of the Angels.
Yeah.
For Keston right now?
Salt Lake Bees. He's got 11 homers in 16 games. So not significant, of course.
Not at all.
You wouldn't want to hit a guy hitting a 0.75 homers every game. Don't get me started on this one, right?
Okay, we won't then. Just let me do my job. Let's get us to break. John Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's there. You're on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. Round third, head for home. 9 to noon. Breaking news on the game. 9 to noon on the game. God is good if you're an NBA player, that's for sure. Adrian Wojnarowski, Boston Celtics guard Derek White, has agreed to a 4-year, $125.9 million contract extension.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Sources tell ESPN. Includes a player option. Man, I didn't realize, John, we were talking 100,000 amongst friends when we're talking about $125.9 million. Don't throw that at 126. It is 125.9, and he's going to get every dime of it. Wow, this is crazy. That money is it's beyond monopoly money to me. But congratulations to Derek White and his family. Hopefully, not all of that is to go and get his mouth fixed after he crushed up his grill in Game 5.
Well, NBA's probably got a good dental plan, I would think.
I assume it doesn't suck.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, think.
But I don't know
you
if that
guys
cover's
remember
going
when
down.
David Beckham it was Beckham, right? That came to LA way back in like the
It was.
early 2000s, and he was done playing international
Sure.
soccer.
Yeah.
So he came to the MLS, and I think they gave him but 50 million.
Had to be
50
something
year.
crazy.
It was 5 years, 250. And I remember the numbers were so astronomical. It was sort of like that A-Rod, the Texas contract.
But
Sure.
we
It was
thought,
so
but-
crazy. I said, this guy's going to make $1 million a week.
But we thought then, okay, soccer is just silly. Soccer has silly
Sure.
money, and they can do these things with. All sports are getting to that level now.
Right.
Mhm.
Football, baseball, basketball. Basketball might be some of the more absurd numbers that you
Yeah.
ever hear. We're gonna have a $300 million man. That's a lot
Isn't it
on a
crazy?
contract.
On one
just
deal.
a contract.
One deal.
Kind of wild. It's just wild. I don't know. It's hard. It makes you wonder, would that be sustainable? I mean, is there a point where it will be too much where teams just are not going to want to sustain this?
Well,
cause?
it's not coming up in the next 5 to 6 or
Right.
11 years, whatever this television rights deal is. Because I mean, I did think as somebody that watches a bunch of League Pass and watches a bunch of random nothing games in the NBA, I didn't realize people were going to pay even more than what their deals were this last time. And then 2.5 billion comes per
Yeah.
year by NBC, and it's like, okay, yeah, people are paying whatever they can for the rights to NBA games. So these contracts are continuing to go up. There's more gambling money that's going to get infused in the league, but it's crazy. And like, you listen to Charles Barkley talk about just the change from, this is a league that 40 years ago, right? Larry and Magic come in 83, correct?
Yeah.
So about 40 years ago, still had a tape delayed NBA
Yeah.
finals.
Yeah. You could buy franchises back then for like $10 million.
Their championship was still on tape delay. What they did for the league to then change it to what it is 40 years from now, it's not going to be the same impact. But Caitlin Clark played against Diana Taurasi last night in the Phoenix Mercury, and Magic talked about it last week with the rivalry of her and Angel Reese. It's not going to be like this. However, in 40 years, what money could potentially go there, or if all the money starts drying up in professional sports and all these entertainment dollars, like you're mentioning, guys, at some point there's a cap to it, and the salaries do stop continuing to go up exponentially.
Yeah, one of my more fascinating conversations to have when I was in the NFLPA and as a representative was, when do we consider ourselves too big to fail, right? Because the banks considered themselves too big to fail. They got bailed out. Who's going to bail the NFL out if they make the wrong move? And what would that move potentially be that could be the wrong move? And I mentioned a bunch of times to people cannibalizing ourselves, meaning the concussion suits and settlements that came out. Would that be it? You're watching a class action lawsuit over Sunday Ticket play itself out. And listen, if it's 4 billion, if it's 12 billion, it's going to be 1 year's worth of revenue, right? For the NFL. They will survive that. But what is the one thing that can take it down? I don't think salaries would take down professional sports. I think it's got to be something like injuries or not enough kids in the pipeline. Like the biggest fear for football right now, the biggest fear, as I talk to all the coaches and administrators around the league, the biggest fear is attendance is down in youth football. It just
real.
is. And attendance is actually up in flag football. I mean, it kind of go hand in hand. But if less and less kids play tackle football, could that take away from the viewership? Could that eventually take
That's the
away
thing.
from the television deals? That's the one thing that really has people scared right now is parents that are scared to let their kids play football.
But so I think there will still be so many talented kids still wanting to play because the money's there, and because it seems like the interest in football is going to still be at an all-time high. People will want to watch, and there will be money in this league. So
They'll
it's
watch
hard for
other
me-
people do it though.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard for me to believe that it still won't exist, and if it exists, we're going to love it. I don't want to say it's Teflon and it's impossible for it to fail. I mean, at one point boxing was the biggest sport in this country, right? I mean, it was, or at least the second biggest, right? At one point it was horse racing. So trends and interests can change over time, but it sure seems like the NFL is Teflon in that regard.
It's still in my estimation why the international series is so important to the NFL is to try to grow where you're getting your athletes from. Because I mean, we're talking about the NBA, and still year in and year out, we just saw it again. Top 2 players coming from overseas to come and play in this league because the money is just that much greater. And then over the weekend, I see that we're losing again in these U20 football games.
Oh, stop!
We lost to Austria.
Stop worrying about that. They're not
in the bronze medal game.
We're not bringing our best over there, though. It's not like
I don't care if there are best. We should still be able to win. It is called American football,
and we should. I'm actually with Billy here, Armin. I'm not going to agree with you on this.
We should.
I don't care what team we put out there. We have the NFL.
Yes,
the NFL lives here.
I get it.
You can't lose an international football game to anybody.
No.
I know.
Japan was bad enough. Austria?
Right. I still need more info on it. That's all I'm saying. But you're right. We probably shouldn't ever lose even flag football. Okay, so
no, we should dust everybody in flag football by 50 when that comes to the Olympics.
Did you guys?
I'm sorry.
In high school, play like some international high school games? I remember in our high school, my buddies that were on the team had guys come visit. It was like international exchange students. And they would be like, we'd be Team USA, and they'd be from somewhere, and they'd spend a week, and then we'd win by like 65.
No, we had a kicker, John, in high school. My junior year, his name was Manu. He was a foreign exchange student from Germany.
Okay.
And he kicked for us and was really, really good. And he had himself
a good time.
A lot of fun that semester.
There you go. See, that's how it works.
A lot of fun that semester. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only exchange deal that we had. I see you guys on the east side just had it real good.
I guess. I don't know.
All these cool internationals deals coming through Greenfield High School. That makes sense.
Some guy came from like a Scandinavian country, I think, and he was over my buddy's house, and he was like 16, and he's like, where he's from, we drink. It was like Iceland or something. And like,
he may have just been a Viking and was coming to pillage in your friend's house.
Like, no, there's no beer here. I didn't know.
Let's go to your dad's fridge and see. That's a Quick Trip takeaway of the day brought to you by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Pick up a freshly prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal you might even find. You will find beer at the lowest legal prices at most Quick Trips. That's what I'm talking about, and that's why Quick Trip is always going to be number one. That's a heck of a day one of the week, fellas. Great work here, day 1 of July. I think we kicked it out of the park. Let's try to do it again coming up tomorrow.
Talked a lot about other people's money. It was fun.
Yeah, pocket watching was fun here today on Monday. That was a good start. For John Kuhn, I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's right there. It's been 9 to noon. We'll try to be better on Tuesday. Mike Heller show's next.